Yes, yes, I am. Christian. Nice to meet you. Um, Currently at the moment we are like I'm in a part-time position, just kind of getting a feel for everything, and then they'll let me make the decision to see like what's going on here. Yeah, they're trying to see if I can make the cut.
Check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. Check, 1, 2, 3. Christian, give me a mic check.
Mic check, mic check, 1 2 1 2. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Testing, testing, testing. Mic check.
One more time, Christian.
Testing, testing, 1 2 1 2. Testing, testing, 1 2 1 2. We are currently testing the microphones for Volusia County.
Welcome to the Volusia County Council meeting. The meeting will begin in 10 minutes. Volusia County Council meeting. The meeting will begin in 5 minutes. welcome to the Volusia County Council meeting. The meeting will begin in 2 minutes.
Okay, good afternoon. I will welcome everyone to the May 19th, 2026 Volusia County Council meeting. It's good to see everyone here. In just a minute, I will ask you to stand. You can stand if you care to for the invocation, and then we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you are a member of a faith group who would like to participate in an invocation, all faith groups are welcome. Just send an email to K Green, the letter K Green at volusia.org, and she will get you all set up to do that. This morning we have Pastor Joel Newman with Life Fellowship Church of the Nazarene from Deltona. And I haven't seen Joel yet. I hope he's here. He did not check in with you. Kat got up. Was she going to pray? No? Okay. Then let's stand for, we'll just have a minute of silence and reflection, and then go into the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No shaky hands. Krista, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Johansson? Mr. Kent?
Here.
Mr. Reinhardt?
Here.
Mr. Robbins?
Here.
Mr. Santiago?
Here.
Mr. Dempsey? Mr. Brower?
Here. So we have a full dais and quorum. Do we have any public participation? I'll take that as a yes. Thank you. When I call your name, if you would just come up, make to the podium here, make sure that there is a microphone near your mouth so that everyone can hear you and the people online can hear you. There is a button on the left side of the podium that lets it rise up and down if you need that. And please just, when you speak, tell us what part of the county that you're from so that your representative up here knows who you are and where you are. You have 3 minutes to talk about any business that affects the county that we might be able to deal with in future meetings. First up is, looks like water got spilled on it. I think it's John, is it Maclafronte? Thank you. Well, I was close. Thank you for coming, John.
My name is John Malafrani. I'm a resident of Ormond Beach since 1991. I'm here representing Prince of Peace Catholic Church. I would like to thank our county council members for the opportunity to discuss our concerns. I have here a petition signed by over 1,000 of our parishioners and a cover letter from our pastor, Father Justin Vracko, that I would like to read as he is unable to attend this meeting. To whom it may concern, my name is Reverend Justin Vracko, and I am reaching out as an organizer of a petition that has gathered signatures from concerned parishioners and communities members regarding the median constructed on Hand Avenue between Clyde Morris Boulevard and Nova Road that blocks access to our church, social services food pantry, and the Prince of Peace light news shop. As outlined in the petition, we respectfully ask Volusia County to reconsider the placement of the median. We understand it was installed to improve safety. However, the new median blocks eastbound traffic on Hand Avenue from accessing our property, particularly the light news shop and the Adoration Chapel. This obstruction creates a safety hazard by requiring our food pantry clients, thrift shop customers, and our parishioners, the majority of which are seniors, to make a dangerous U-turn at the Wellington Station condominium community. This U-turn is located very near a very busy traffic light at the junction of Hand Avenue and Nova Road. Any other option for those traveling east on Hand Avenue creates more congestion for Nova Road and Granada Boulevard. We're happy to work with the County of Volusia in finding a balanced solution that promotes safety. I am available to discuss this matter further at your convenience and would welcome the opportunity to collaborate on potential revisions to the traffic flow. At the meeting last night held by our County Council member, Troy Kent, we heard from Tad Casabier, who reviewed why the county was changing the entrance to our property. He discussed the other entrances and the ability to change the signal time at Nova and Hand Avenue on Saturday and Sunday to help the flow of traffic. What wasn't mentioned, and what we believe is most important, is that 6 days a week that the light news shop is open and folks coming east on Hand Avenue would have to do a U-turn or go to the light. This entrance is used every day and is a big issue for us. We're asking the county to consider a turn into our property going on east on Hand Avenue. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. David Fruchter.
Good afternoon. I live in Cresswind Land Development in DeLand, and I am speaking in opposition to the proposed truck plaza that will almost certainly come before you for consideration sometime within the next several months. Today I focus on one specific item and close with a request to this council. The specific item is part of the larger problem of the increased traffic congestion that the truck plaza would produce. I am referring to access to the truck plaza from I-4. The proposed location for the plaza is near the westbound side of the I-4 State Route 44 interchange. That area is already plagued with heavy traffic. Significantly, there will not be a dedicated exit for I-4 westbound traffic into the truck plaza. The closest access to the plaza from I-4 will be exit 118, but the merge for I-4 westbound traffic onto 44 from exit 118 is already highly problematic. When trying to execute the merge at a time of even moderately heavy traffic, it is very difficult to see the oncoming westbound traffic on 44. Long before we became aware of the proposed truck plaza, an ongoing topic of conversation among residents of our community was the trepidation we regularly feel when trying to handle the merge. Adding many semi-trucks daily to the traffic at that merge is a prescription for trouble. And now moving on to my request. While many, if not all of you, may have familiarity with the proposed location for the plaza and can look at maps and proposed site plans, I urge that once this matter is placed on an agenda for a council meeting, you go to the proposed truck plaza site and see it and the surrounding area up close. If possible, go westbound on I-4, get off at exit 118, and drive the route semi-trucks would take to get in and out of the plaza. I strongly believe doing so will meaningfully enhance your consideration of this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. John Nicholson?
John Nicholson, Daytona Beach side. First, I'd like to thank you for having Pierre Lewis Day. He's a member of our city. You could not have picked a finer person to have honored. Secondly, under H, you have a hunting lease. I'm sure you're going to okay it, but it's a wise use of land, especially when we talk about Echo and Volusia Forever. This is land that we own that's leased out and used productively. So I'm sure you're going to okay it later today. It's under item H. Third, yesterday for 5.5 hours, I sat at the Peabody listening to the arguments, the mediation for the city of Ormond Beach, Daytona Beach, and Avalon Park. Now, Avalon Park has been trying to get Ormond to provide them with water for like 4 years now. They've been ready to build. There was an agreement in 2006 that they would provide water. Well, apparently, they don't like the idea of Avalon Park being there, so they're doing everything they can to prevent it from going in. So they ended up with a lose, lose, lose. Everybody loses. Ormond will no longer make any money off of selling the water to Daytona Beach wholesale. Daytona Beach will not gain any money from the water and sewer. And Avalon Park will lose because they have to build their own water and sewer plant. I don't understand how people can get to the point where everybody loses rather than everybody wins. And lastly, we had a Army Corps of Engineer study. There, to me, apparently there's no solution to the problem in Daytona Beach. They are going to take $1 million of what's left over from their original funding and look at what minor things can be done in Daytona Beach. I have a list of 12 right off the bat that could easily be done relatively inexpensively. The one of which I would ask you to consider is a tank, a water tank, so that the water could be pumped into the water tank until such time as the king tide goes down and we can pump it back out again. There's no sense in it sitting there flooding all the neighborhoods when we can store it vertically until such time as we can get it out safely. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Catherine Pante? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. The day before Thanksgiving, a Volusia County mother of three, 30-year-old Denja Moore, was found stabbed to death inside her Daytona Beach apartment. Her apartment was then set on fire, with her and her 3 young children left inside. Her 10-month-old baby suffered a cardiac event during the fire and later died at the hospital. Her 2 other children, ages 4 and 5, were critically injured and rushed to UF Health Shands. The suspect, 34-year-old Charles Leon Ivy, had previously been arrested in 2021 for felony domestic battery. On Christmas Eve 2022, an Alaska County Sheriff's Deputy, Corporal Ray Hamilton, was fatally shot during an exchange of gunfire with a domestic violence suspect. These tragedies occur all too often in Florida. Volusia County ranks 4th highest in the state, reporting over 4,000 domestic violence incidents in 2025. As a retired law enforcement officer, I strongly support Councilman Reinhardt's initiative to create a local domestic violence offender registry in Volusia County. This registry would require individuals convicted of 2 or more domestic violence-related offenses to register with Volusia County Sheriff's Office. Their names, photos, and conviction histories would publicly be available online, giving victims, families, and our community vital information to stay safe. This ordinance is also a critical officer safety tool. Our law enforcement officers respond to thousands of domestic calls every year, some of the most unpredictable and dangerous calls they face. With this registry, officers could instantly check before arriving on scene if they are walking into a situation involving a known repeat violent offender. That knowledge allows them to approach with greater caution, request backup sooner, improve de-escalation tactics, and reduce the risk of ambush. Just like the Tennessee learned after losing Deputy Savannah Puckett, better information saves lives, including the lives of those who wear the badge and go to work every day to protect ours. We can turn these tragedies into action by supporting and passing an ordinance. It will aid in protecting victims, strengthen families, and help keep our law enforcement officers safer. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comments. Wendy Anderson.
Good afternoon, Wendy Anderson. Hi, I just wanted to give a quick update on the Florida Department of Environmental Protection septic tank grant that I received last year. Jeff, I think you had, Chairman Brower, I think you had mentioned it at the end of a meeting maybe a month ago. And so I just wanted to give you a quick update and also just kind of put it out there as a public announcement that we're still looking for 10 more participants in this study. So as a quick reminder, this study is basically Stetson University's Institute for Water and Environmental Resilience is testing a set of technologies by the company Invocation and their biomass products, which are drop-in systems for existing septic tanks that they are hoping and we are testing to see if it reduces nitrogen in the effluent of septic tanks, which is one of the major contributors of pollution in our surface water and groundwater. So we are working solely within the Lake Beresford watershed. So the participants have to be within the area either east of Huntoon Road or west of Fascio Road in southwest DeLand. So we have about 48 participants right now. We're looking for about 10 more. So I just wanted to put that out there. And any homeowners who are interested can reach out to me at wanders1@stetson.edu for more information. Thank you.
Thank you. Good work. Okay, that concludes the public participation for the beginning of the meeting, I believe. Okay, which takes us to item 1, the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve as written?
Motion to approve.
Vice Chair Reinhardt makes a motion to approve. Councilman Robbins makes the second. Any comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the agenda is approved 6-0. We'll get Don's vote when he comes in. Item 2 is the consent agenda. Does anyone have an item they would like to pull for a comment after the vote?
I have comment on A.
Comment only on A.
Motion to approve minus item A.
Second.
Johansson.
No, I think
Was it a vote? Or no?
No, not a vote.
Oh, motion to
Not a
approve consent agenda.
Comment. I would also like to pull item F for comment only, just to get the information out to the public a little bit better. Does your motion still, okay. And who made the second?
Second, Johansson.
Second, Johansson. Thank you very much. Any discussion? Councilman Santiago, is that for after the vote?
Yes, sir.
To talk about A? Okay, all in favor of the consent agenda as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes 7-0. Don, while I have you, approval of the agenda? Okay, that vote was 7-0 then. Okay, item A.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Cyrus, it's that time of the quarter, I guess, for your update. And as you know, I usually pull this one or ask for you to give us a synopsis, more public, of how the economic situation is, if you could.
Mr. Chair, gentlemen of the council, Cyrus Callum, Aviation and Economic Resources. And fortunately for me, I have my secret weapon with me. It's Lou Paris, and I didn't want to steal any thunder from him. He actually does the presentation for the Q. We actually had a highly attended Q event. I think we had about 130, 140 in the audience here at the airport. Talked about information technology. And so with that, I will step aside and have Lou answer some questions specifically.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I'd like to, can you give us a status on how's tourism going, let's say year to date? How are we trending compared to previous years?
So in this quarter, we didn't cover tourism information. I can provide that information at a later time, but we did not specifically cover any data pertaining to tourism.
Okay. I definitely like that, unless there's objection. I'd like to see how tourism is starting, because we're in the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we can get that, I'd appreciate it. Airport. I know that's more of a Cyrus story. My questions were either airport or tourism.
Okay,
so,
gotcha.
Cyrus, if you could give us your update on how things are going as it pertains to some of our new partners and things like that.
Absolutely. So we started operations with JetBlue back in December. So far, JetBlue, the load factors are doing well. They actually have brought in larger aircraft. Originally, they were going to bring in the 120-something seat A220s. Now we're getting A320s, which is a good sign, both up to Boston and to New York JFK. So we're excited about that. Next week, we're actually sending a contingent, Karen Feaster and Joanne Magley. They're going to an air service conference. We're meeting with about 10 airlines to talk about some opportunities here at Daytona Beach. One in particular, we've received information that there could be another announcement for some winter service. And so I will keep you all posted on that opportunity.
So JetBlue is doing better than they expected.
JetBlue is doing better than expected. Originally, when they started operations, they were a little concerned about bookings. I told them just wait until after the Daytona 500 and spring break season. And then as a result, they started to see those load factors that they were waiting for.
How are things going with our advertising partners and the marketing of these new airlines?
Fantastic. Of course, we have a very collaborative relationship. I know we're coming back upon that time to start to discuss the budget. We will work through those details, but so far, once again, Joanne Magney, our marketing and air service specialist on the team, she actually was a participant in an event up in Boston and New York City that was funded through our partnership that we have with the three CVBs, and also building upon that relationship that we have with JetBlue. I think one of the events, she was at the New England Revolution soccer game, and they were promoting Daytona Beach there. And then there was another event up in New York where they had a race around on luggage with wheels. And the winner of that actually won a round-trip ticket to Daytona Beach. Awesome. And so we're excited about the promotional opportunities and getting awareness out there with regards to our service.
No, I should have entered, right?
Yeah.
And then I know that time of year is coming for us to speak with those authorities. And I know you meet with them regularly, but I can only speak for myself. I've been obviously pushing for the increased investment, and my colleagues have also. But as you go with them, I'm certainly, if their budgets are increasing, I want to make sure that the funding for promoting Volusia County is increasing just as well.
Absolutely.
I guess give them a heads up before I meet with them individually too.
Hopefully they're watching. But yeah, we will definitely relay that message.
Okay. And that's it for now. Thank you. And then I look forward to the tourism numbers.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr.
We'll
Chair.
take care of that. Thank you.
Thank you. And then item F, I don't know, Tim, can you talk about that? Or I don't see Brad. Just speak, oh, there, no, that's not Brad. It's a great event. It's 4th of July, our 250th anniversary, and I just wanted to take another step further and to let the public know what's going on. It's kind of unique.
Yes. Good afternoon, Tim Bailey, Parks, Recreation, and Culture Director. And yeah, it's a great event. If anyone's been out there, that is the most
Out where?
At Gemini Springs. Sorry,
Okay.
Gemini Springs Park. That's the most active that park is throughout the year. 5,000 to 6,000 people. You could probably walk from blanket to blanket without touching a blade of grass. That's how many people are out there. So it's a great event. They scheduled throughout the day. There's bands. There's also kid activities. There's concessions. Beer and wine is also served. They're going to have a light show. Traditionally, they have a laser show with fireworks and music, right? We're adding the drone piece to that, which is what the county's donation is, or county's partnership is. And I think there's 300 drones in a 15-minute show that's going to be added to that light show and fireworks. There also is going to be some smoke going through the play area. So it's going to be great.
Good.
Yeah.
What day?
It's July 4th.
Okay.
From 5 to 11. They need some setup time from 1 to 4 on that particular day to get all the concessionaires in there and get set up, right? But then after that, gates open at 5. The show starts at 9:15.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay, that's it on the consent agenda. We'll move to item 3, which is the presentation from Keith Norden. And Randy, are you going to speak also? Great. Moral support from Team Volusia.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Mr. Chair, gentlemen of the council, once again, Cyrus Callum, Aviation and Economic Resources. It is with great pleasure that I introduce to you this evening Mr. Keith Norden, President and CEO of Team Volusia, and Randy Dye, Chair of the Board of Team Volusia. So with that, I believe Keith has a presentation for you.
Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for the introduction. Keith Norden with Team Volusia. It's great to be in front of you once again to give you a report. I'm joined, of course, by our chair, Randy Dye. We are very proud of the fact of our 15-year metrics. We just celebrated our 15th anniversary, and as you can see, that we have 63 projects in the last 15 years with a total economic impact of $3.9 billion. All of that came about from our working closely with our community partners, our municipalities, Volusia County, and others. Breakdown of the budget, as you can see, 51% is privately funded, plus 5% from the colleges and universities. We have 7 colleges and universities at the board. And then the public funding is split between the 15 municipalities and the county. It's a great leverage of funds because we use the public funds for operations, rent and payroll and other things, and then all of our outreach is done, videos, everything is done by the private sector. Real proud of our officers, including Mr. Dye next to me, our chair. Our first vice chair is Tom Labasso, the president of Daytona State College. Second vice chair, Jason Meyer. Bob Ludlow is our secretary. Joyce Shanahan from Ormond Beach is our treasurer. Michael Ployce from DeLand, our municipal representative. John Ferguson, our legal counsel. And of course, we have our county manager on as an officer position, which is great so that he can report things back to the county council. This is our staff. We have a small staff, but I'm very proud of the staff and their expertise that they provide. And this is what we're very proud of, our private sector investment. We have over 70 private sector companies, and of course, our educational institutions participate financially as well. And they help guide our mission. Our board of directors, and they're engaged. And we couldn't be successful without the collaborative environment we have in Volusia County. We all get along together, famously, along with the Volusia County Division of Economic Development, all of their services, which are amazing, CEO Business Alliance, as well as our colleges and universities, and our chambers of commerce, and our municipal partners. So 16 municipalities were all on the road promoting. We have 7 targets. They're not a surprise: advanced manufacturing, aerospace, aviation, corporate regional headquarters, finance and insurance, because of the huge finance and insurance company success here, including Brown & Brown, Foundation Risk Partners, and Security First, information technology, life sciences, and then logistics, just because of our sheer location. We're very proud of the marketing we do. As you're aware of the Life in Volusia website we have that's talent recruitment focused, developed by FPL and us. And then we have brand videos that we launched in 2025. We have 2026 site readiness program videos featuring 5 sites. That came about with a joint private sector funding and Duke Energy grant. They are available for you to look at on our YouTube channel. And we also are pleased that we have really spearheaded 5 site readiness programs, 4 through a Duke Energy grant. 4 of those are on the west side. The first one was in 2013, which is where Amazon Fulfillment Center went in Deltona. And we're doing the 4th. Actually, the visit is Thursday for DeLand. So those are on the west side. And then we used FPL grant money to do Ormond Crossing. And so that's already been done. We have over 30 outreach activities for 2025. And it's very important that the municipalities and the county want us to do the outreach because we use all private sector dollars. No tax dollars are used. The 2025 announcements include the 5th Amazon facility, Femitron Systems, Sprouts. ExaltHealth was a competitive project in InsurTech that you all helped us with through grant programs, and we really appreciate it. That is a supplier to the space industry. It's exactly what we want, those third and fourth tier suppliers. And Exalt Medical was a competitive project from a relationship we had with consultants. These are ribbon cuttings that many of you went to. Amazon's largest facility in Daytona Beach, RO Aero's first project in the hangar at Embry-Riddle, and then of course Boeing Daytona was definitely a community-led project with many folks at the table, and those have really put us on the map internationally. This is the 26 activity year to date. Already we're going ahead with our planned outreach. Hannover Messe is the world's largest manufacturing trade show in Hanover, Germany. MRO is so very important to our general aviation airports and Daytona International Airport. Our sales funnel, over 100 projects in the sales funnel, project funnel. And then this is what we're centering, what we've centering our attention on 2026. We're continuing to do the marketing communications and outreach. We're focusing on lead generation efforts in our 7 targeted industries. We are encouraging collaborative efforts statewide by hosting informational visits with Florida Commerce, Select Florida, and Space Florida. Florida Commerce and Select Florida just left the area. We hosted them today, all the project managers. And the Division of Economic Development was also in place. Site readiness, as I mentioned, we have the site videos for you to view. And then we're always reviewing the pipeline and pushing those projects down to locations. We are centering our attention on retaining and increasing private sector investment, and we are actually in the process of exploring long-term funding options for the organization. And then this is the capture of the 15 years. So that is what we're very proud of. And then I'm happy to be in front of you and answer any questions. Randy's here to also make some comments as well.
I would just say, simply put, being the chairman for a year and a half, the activity, this is a very busy organization, and today was a special day because of the connection to the state of Florida, and we have a very positive collaborative relationship. We get a lot of leads because of all the work that Keith and prior board members have put forth, and they were very well pleased with what they saw in Volusia County today. They got great tours of some of the things going on, and I think we'll continue to be high on their list for a place to get the first shot at some good economic development.
Good. Councilman Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Randy, thank you, and all of your board members and your entire team that volunteers to serve Volusia County. So I really appreciate it. I'm sure Volusians, most of them don't know the good work that you all do, but eventually it works its way through our economy. So thank you. I do have 2 questions. Can you go back to the slide of the pipeline? I think it was like a triangle slide.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I first seen that, and I'll make up the term, I don't know if there's an industry standard term, but do we track like conversion rates on how we're doing to measure our success year over year? Like when we get, something in stage 1, how likely are we going to convert 1, 2, 3 of them to stage 5?
5 is a location that's converted for us, because you see we have 0 announcements to date, but we have 9 in negotiations. And we have to time that to when the companies want to either decide, push through, or make the official announcement. You just received the official announcement on one of the projects we announced last year, because it took several months for the company to finalize the press release. But we have a good conversion rate. We have an excellent conversion rate if the projects visit. We have a great product. So when we're on the road, we're always inviting them to come and take a look if there is a need and their project fits the parameters. But we are a draw. We've been having probably 2 to 3 visits a week. So that's the conversion from stage 1 on down.
And are you saying that when you get them to stage 3, the likelihood for that conversion is much, much higher?
Yes, because they visited. They know what the product is. We can be the best, my team can be the best salespeople, but you have to see it to believe it. Volusia County and all the assets. That's what was so good about the project team coming from Select Florida. We even had the president of Select Florida coming today because they've heard about it. Some of them have brought projects to us, and I think everyone in the room today had one or more active projects with us today. Some actually in negotiation.
And then my final question, I've seen the list of your private sector partners.
Yes.
Which has grown significantly, so good job there. Do you have a success rate or do you all target these firms that eventually come here?
Yes.
Do they become members?
We do.
Yes. We do. So we,
Yeah.
we convert a lot of them also into memberships, and they participate financially in the program?
Yes. And
That's
I had one of the 3 projects that were announced that you went to the ribbon cutting, had a conversation with one of the decision makers, and they've decided to invest. So, it just takes time. People sometimes run from me because I'm always trying to raise funds. So, but,
and I like that that's a focus, because certainly this is partially, as you've seen in your slide there, government-funded programs. Oftentimes you get criticized for investing in this area, but I think the results are showing the good economic impact. But certainly as an individual member, I'd love to see that continue to grow in the private sector, so the reliance on public dollars would lower and lower each time as you guys get better and better at what you're doing and bigger.
Especially the way we use the private money, which is the outreach. We want to grow it too. That gives us more opportunity to go out there and do things.
So, thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
And the
Thanks,
executive committee actually hired a consulting firm, Resource Development Group. We're receiving their information. They did an assessment and of the potential of raising more private sector funding. That's still being reviewed by the executive committee.
Thank you. I wasn't going to ask this, but his question opened it up. You said that step 3, the site visits, are really important to you. I have a friend who works in recruiting doctors to Halifax, to hospitals. She'll give them a tour. She says the same thing. You take them, if you get them in a car and travel the county. But she would often hear, and I don't want to make this negative things about, especially when they got to the east end of ISB before it's been upgraded like it is now. Do you hear things like that we need to work on to improve our county to be more attractive to businesses?
So I think this, that depends on the prospect, what they find to be important. You'll see all kinds of different things. Education, depending upon how many employees they're going to have, becomes a conversation. Yes, the way the place looks, for sure. What other opportunities? Recreational opportunities are a big deal. But I can tell you that to the point, once they come, the conversion goes way, way up. And I think that nobody expects utopia. We have it as close as it gets. Florida's as close to utopia as it gets, and Volusia County is high on the list. But I think they are generally coming to a place that is not as good as where we are, and they see it that way.
Good. Embry-Riddle is a crown jewel of Volusia County. I've lived here my whole life, watched it grow from a tiny little university to something that's spectacular worldwide. We've had great success in the last year with 2 major companies that have put campuses on that campus, which doesn't help us at all with property taxes. But man, it's been a huge benefit for good jobs that pay high salaries and are good, stable positions. Go ahead.
I would just make a comment. This is kind of a little equal billing there, since I'm on the board at Daytona State College. It's the same thing. I first viewed Daytona State College as a little community college in 1976, and what the group has done under Tom Labasso's leadership is remarkable. And I will tell you that because of the job force training that goes on there, that organization is a huge partner in economic development. We can train people. Many of these prospects are looking for workforce. Where is it going to come from? And Daytona State offers a terrific opportunity to train and provide the workforce they need.
It really does. I'm glad you made that point. I was raised very close to the campus, and it was very small. Yeah. And now look at it. It's something that we can really be proud of. And so when you say, when I asked about what do the people ask you on a site visit, you said education. We have everything to offer them for education here. So I was hoping you might want to make some news of what's coming next at Embry-Riddle, or
I'm going to defer.
I won't do that to you.
No, we're very happy, and I tell you what makes it different. We have those institutions, not only those two, and we highlighted those two today. We made sure that the project manager saw Embry-Riddle and Daytona State College, but we all have so many others with Stetson and
absolutely.
Kaiser, Bethune-Cookman, and we're very proud of that. And that, for a population our size of over 600,000 population, to have 40,000 students in the area is amazing. And it's good for us when we recruit because everyone's always asking, where's the workforce going to come from?
Yeah. Well, you just heard from Stetson, a research project that's going to be crucial to all of Volusia County. So, good neighbors. So, Jake Johansson.
Thank you. You guys already know what my question's going to be, probably, but in the upcoming conversations in Tallahassee about property taxes and whatnot, and you know we write a pretty decent check to Team Volusia. Not that bothers me as much as what can we do up here to help you get more private partnerships. We talk to, as much as you do, we talk to existing manufacturers, we talk to people who want to come in. I was down at Insurtech about 5 times. I don't know if they've joined yet, but next time I go, I'll make sure they do.
Please do.
What can I do? What can we do to get more private investment in the EDC? So when we have to make that tough decision at the government levels, and it'll be happen with the municipalities as well, that we can cover that gap.
What I would suggest is just do what we do. Tell folks about us, what we do. Many folks, we've got newsletters going out to 3,000 people, and many people still don't understand what we do. So we're self-promoting. And I think if you run into a company like a Boeing, you might say it's really important for you to participate in our economic development program. And your outreach program is Team Volusia. We're the official recruitment arm for and marketing for business for Volusia County. So we'd be grateful if you continued spreading the word about us. We've got a great staff and a wonderful relationship. We have relationships really globally with consultants that can bring us business. Many do. And so that's hard to duplicate for another organization. So we really are pleased to represent Volusia County. And I appreciate any, not referrals. We don't expect for you to do that with your constituents, but just good word about us and all that we do.
Excellent. Thank you.
Reminds me, if you're bringing people in for site visits through Daytona Airport, that's got to be a huge bonus. I mean, you talk about a beautiful, easy-to-use airport. Councilman Dempsey.
Yeah, I have nothing but accolades for what you guys do. I've seen the results of your work, and you guys do a wonderful job. But looking at the slide presentation on page 3 of 9, it has your target sectors and subsectors. So I'm assuming that means these are industries that we're trying to recruit to Volusia County. Is that right?
These are the target sectors that we're trying to recruit, and it's based on the amount of employees that are here and the job growth.
Yes, sir. Don't know if you're aware, I'm sure you are, but on the 5th column from the left, information technology, you have one of your target sectors that we're trying to recruit are data centers.
Well, that was what was in the original study, but we have removed that.
Okay, so data center, because the governor just signed that bill.
Yes, we've removed it. I just caught it. I mean, we have another slide, but this was produced 3 weeks ago.
I was going to take everything back that I said.
Yeah. Seriously, I had this same slide that I showed today to Florida Commerce, and it did not have that on it. So I can, Randy, well, I don't know that you saw it, but it surprised me in the commission chambers. So.
Okay, so that's completely off.
Gone. Yes.
Okay, because I, for one, am concerned about data centers. I think a lot of people are concerned about them nationwide, and I think we already ranked 10th in the state, in the country, for data centers in Florida. So I would hope, I can't give you direction, but I would hope we're actually discouraging these data centers when they try to reach out to us about coming to Volusia, because with all our water issues, the last thing we want is to lose it to data centers.
Having a recent conversation with the leadership team at Florida Commerce, it's been removed and the word is not mentioned. So they don't discuss it. So that gives us, if they don't discuss it, we're not going to discuss it.
Thank you. But otherwise, great work, guys.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very
Dempsey.
much. Thank you.
Vice Chair Reinhardt.
Thank you, Chair. You just hit on the question I was going to ask with respect to data centers. Thank you for that. But also, do you find yourself in a position where, let's separate data centers, is there any other market out there that really is not a fit, that we tell them, hey, maybe you're better suited elsewhere? Do you find yourself in that position?
We will, yeah. Heavy industry, some heavy industry we discourage.
Okay. You just hit what I was going at.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. And
Great
those
job.
questions do
Awesome
come
job.
in. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Anything else from the council? Thank you for your report. Appreciate it. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
That brings up item 4.
Motion to approve.
Park impact fee funded expansion. We have of Highbridge Park.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Third.
By Councilman Robbins. Second came from Councilman Johansson.
Just as it's my district, I had to get in on it.
The third came from Troy Kent. And you were smart enough that you sat down and didn't talk yourself out of this, but it's a great project. Any comments from council?
Briefly, Chairman, if you don't mind. I just want to, I hope this goes well with the council. It sounds and looks like it's going to, but not hearing any opposition. This is exactly what Volusia County residents want. They want this type of project in their backyards. And when you talk about the right location, this is the perfect location. And the usage that this is going to receive, and for those listening online and those in the audience that have not been up to Highbridge Park recently, you need to go check it out. I recently, I usually put my boat in at Granada, and we head up to Captain's Barbecue up in Flagler County. And there was an issue a couple weeks ago at Granada, so I went to Highbridge Park, and it was a wonderful experience. So if you're looking for a place to put your boat in the water, if you're looking for a place to put your kayak in the water, if you're looking for a place to take your kid or grandkid or loved one and throw a fishing line out to maybe catch dinner on your own, it is a beautiful, tranquil experience. And I just can't say enough about how positive this is going to be for Volusia County. Good work.
He just did your job for you. Any other comments or questions for staff? And all in favor of the Highbridge Park expansion, please say aye.
Aye. Can I vote for David?
Any opposed? And it's 6-0, but we will ask David when he comes in and get his vote on record. Thank you, guys. Okay, 7-0 for item 4.
I asked if I could vote for you, but
I would have trusted your vote.
Don's maybe not, but yours I would have.
Item 5, first public hearing and presentation on amendments to the Volusia County Home Rule Charter, which is probably almost everybody else left in the audience. Mr. John Booker.
Good afternoon. John Booker, Government Affairs for Volusia County. Kind of quick on that last item for me and run in a little bit. But anyway, good afternoon, Council. The Volusia County Charter requires the convening of a 15-member Charter Review Commission at least once every 10 years to review the charter and ordinances of the county. This body, your body, selected those members last year. The charter further states that the commission shall, within 1 year from the date of its first meeting, present to the county council recommendations for amendments to the county's charter. The charter continues on to state that after receiving the Charter Review Commission's recommendations, the county council shall conduct a series of 3 public hearings on the recommended changes to the charter. Tonight is the first of those public hearings. Thereafter, you will schedule a referendum on the proposed charter amendments at the upcoming general election in November. Meeting monthly since September of last year, the Charter Commission held 5 listening sessions throughout the county for citizen input, 8 general meetings, and its subcommittees met 8 times as well. The Commission concluded its service and approved a final report on April 13th of this year. As I stated, the Charter requires the County Council to conduct 3 public hearings on the proposed charter amendments. The public hearings provide an opportunity for public information and discussion regarding the proposed amendments with the County Council. At the conclusion of the final public hearings, the County Council will adopt a resolution placing the proposed amendments on the general election ballot. That's what the work of the Commission has been up to for the last, since September of last year. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Mark Watts, who is Chairman of the Charter Review Commission, and I'm not sure, did Pat Northey make? Yes. And Pat Northey as Vice Chair is here as well, along with other members of the Charter Review Commission, all of whom I'm sure you know. But with that, I'll let Mark take it over.
Thank you, John. Good evening, members of the council. Mr. Chair, appreciate the opportunity to be here. I want to start by just thanking you. You appointed 15 members that had a variety of viewpoints, a variety of perspectives on the topics that we discussed. Sometimes that was easy, sometimes that was resulted in long meetings, and we tried to stay efficient, but I appreciate the foresight you had in putting together the members of the commission, and I want to thank my fellow commission members for the honor of serving as their chair. Amy Menizzi was the one that pushed me in front of that bus at the first meeting, and you know, I did appreciate the opportunity to do it. It was a great opportunity and great experience working with, like I said, a very good group of highly qualified folks that you chose to include in the commission. And I appreciate the faith that staff has that you can give an attorney a microphone and audience and expect them to talk for 2 or 3 minutes about the process. So bear with me, I'm going to do this as quickly as I can, but it may be a little bit longer than that. I'd be remiss if I didn't express our thanks as a commission to the staff that the county provided to the commission for its work. I want to specifically call out Miriam Richardson as our board secretary, who just did a phenomenal job taking care of us, making sure everybody had the right candy at the right bowls throughout the meetings, but more importantly, making sure we had all the information that we needed at each and every meeting, and that we were able to get into the conversations that we needed to do our work. John Booker also just did a tremendous job of kind of doing everything that Miriam didn't do to make sure that we had the information and that it was disseminated to everybody so we could work through the process. And then, you know, the county manager and his staff and really all of the staff members that ended up coming out to provide us with information throughout the process, and the county attorney and his staff, just top-notch across the board. So I want to thank you for equipping us as a commission very well to do the work. I also think first and foremost we need to thank and appreciate the members of the public that came out. As John indicated, we had a number of listening sessions around the county. We had a lot of viewpoints, we had a lot of suggestions that came in through that process and continued through the course of the meetings that we held over the past many months. So I think that was invaluable to us to really listen to the things that were concerning to the public, the things that they wanted us to address, and it really gave us a lot to work through. As we debated the things that we ought to look at once every 10 years as we look at our government structure and the power and authority that's outlined in the charter. I also want to just quickly thank the folks on the commission that served as committee chairs. We had quite a few suggestions, which I'll get into in a minute, but we ended up dividing into a government structure and kind of process and procedures subcommittee that I don't think we could have had a better person than Ken Parker, a retired city manager with 30 plus years experience in local government management, to kind of guide that discussion. The environmental protection subcommittee that took some of the suggestions that we had, which we'll get to is in the full report, that the vice chair of the Charter Review Commission, Pat Northey, volunteered to lead. And then finally, the drafting committee that put together our recommendation letter and the final report, that Nick Seknovsky stepped up and was willing to lead and guide that. So I think the committees all functioned very well, and we were able to really accomplish the work, actually a meeting ahead of schedule. We adjourned one meeting 1 month before we were otherwise scheduled to be at a hard and fast deadline. The work itself, we tried to really focus what we, obviously I think at the end of the listening sessions, at the end of the input we received from the public, we had more than 40 pages of suggested areas and suggested amendments to sort through. And so we really had to go through that and look at, okay, what are the things that are limited by Senate Bill 180? Because we knew that we had some of those limitations on things that we otherwise might have discussed, but which we were preempted from going into those particular topics. We also focused, and I think this is sometimes the source of frustration when you've got people coming in saying, we want to do X, Y, or Z within your charter. We focused on the purpose of the charter, and the purpose being structure of power and authority and of the government versus legislating through a charter. And so we tried to keep our focus very much on what is the role of the charter in establishing the government structure for Volusia County, and how can we improve it or remove things that may need to change. And finally, we also looked at, and I'll touch on this briefly in our transmittal letter. We looked at the things that you already have authority to do, and that we just pointed out maybe you ought to consider these things moving forward. So I'll briefly touch on these. I know Mr. Chumley, I think, is going to go into the amendments in more specific detail. But by and large, we came up with 5 recommendations for the amendments, and then 6 things that were included in our transmittal letter. The recommendations on the amendments were focused on Amendment 1, the structure of the council itself with the chair position, whether it should remain an elected position or be a rotating position as before, and also the maximum term limits within the council itself. And so that came out of Mr. Parker's committee, and I think really focused more on the question of, we have 24 years of experience doing it one way and 32 years of experience doing it the other way, and which one did the committee and then the ultimate commission feel was most effective in totality. One that we heard, the second amendment that we heard quite a bit about, and I can attest to the 2016 Charter Review Commission. This was one of the amendments we recommended at that time as well, but the reimbursement of in-county expenses to conform that with state law rather than have it as outlined in the current charter. Conforming Amendment 3, conforming changes within the charter to match what has already been done by Amendment 10 to the Constitution several years ago. So that's really more in the housekeeping and kind of cleanup realm of things. Amendment 4, simplifying the personnel structure. We got a good history lesson on the charter itself and kind of what existed pre-1970 in regard to things like personnel decisions and the structure that was created in the charter that really is already in your ordinances now. And so it's kind of duplicative, and that was kind of the overall sense that came out of our structure subcommittee as a result of that work. And then finally, Amendment 5 relating to increasing protections for conservation lands. That one I'll touch on just for a second because I know it has resulted in some early chatter, if you will, with regard to one model versus the other. I will say that one of the things that we recognize as a review commission is home rule counties have any authority or have all authority that is not inconsistent with general law. And so as we looked at that particular issue, we got a lot of public feedback and a lot of public comment on that particular issue. And despite the fact that the county hasn't really had an established history of selling conservation land, we wanted to add the protections we could, but do it in a way that was legally defensible. And so based on the advice that the commission received as we went through that process, we really came down to 2 very similar approaches with one important distinction. And the important distinction is the council or the council or the commission making the ultimate decision on sale, which is what's outlined in Chapter 125. So that's what the general law provides for. or the model that was adopted in Alachua County that then sends that decision on to the voters. And it was the legal advice we received of what is consistent with general law and what is not consistent with general law that focused us on going with the recommended language that you see before you, because even though, and there was a lot of discussion about Alachua and the model that they adopted, even though that particular charter has not been challenged, we think that the information that we were provided with demonstrated that it may be susceptible to challenge. So we didn't want to create protections that wouldn't be effective in the long term because they were vulnerable to challenge. That said, we ultimately even came back and amended that charter amendment proposal after it was adopted to add some additional language that was consistent with a recent change to statutes as well. So in any event, those are the amendments. Mr. Tumley's going to go through those, but I didn't want to sit down without touching on some of the recommendations, because our charge is not just to look at the charter, but to also look at the ordinances and the workings of the county to make additional recommendations that we didn't see as necessary to go into the charter, but also considered to be important. So I want to touch on these because we heard a lot about them from the public. The first one being you are in charge of your schedule and setting it every year. There's a recurring request for the council to consider at least having some number of meetings on an annual basis on the east side of the county. And we understand there's logistical challenges. We didn't feel that was a charter mandate that needed to be included in the charter, but you have that authority, and you ought to consider that because the public has asked for it. Establishing dedicated sources for public transit and transportation, recognizing your constraints and the budget process resides with you. Again, we didn't feel that was something that belonged in the charter, but was an important thing that we heard on a recurring basis, at recurring meetings to include in the deliberations. Alternative enforcement standards for countywide minimum standards. A lot of the discussion we heard about protection of the environment focused a lot on the existing authority under Section 202 of the Charter. And so one of the things we got into discussion on was how do we currently monitor, the compliance with some of the minimum standards you already have in place, and what else can you do? And so that's one of our recommendations as you kind of explore what that existing authority can allow the council to do and allow your staff to do moving forward. We also recommended emphasizing, the cultural funding and continued cultural funding. We know that's something that's resulted in a lot of deliberations here in these chambers, but it also came to us over and over again. You've got existing language in your comprehensive plan that supports, cultural funding and cultural initiatives. So we encourage the council to take a look at that and review it, and that's in our recommendation letter. And the last two, one was look at what you've done following the most recent storm events that have resulted in the county sort of being a convener of other municipalities and others throughout the county to kind of bring together resources, bring together planning, bring together data and analysis that's already been performed, and formalize that more. Formalize that into an interlocal infrastructure committee kind of at the county level that can continue what you've done on an ad hoc basis following Milton and Ian and some of the other storm events. And the last thing I'll touch on, and then I'll sit down and hand it over to Giff, is the Volusia Forever land sale proceeds. Again, in the event that conservation land is sold, there was a lot of discussion before us of making sure that money goes back into the program to be reinvested in conservation land. So that covers our proposed amendments, covers the recommendations that were included in our transmittal letter. Here for any questions you might have, but Giff's going to, I think, walk you through the specific amendment language, and then again, we're here and we appreciate the time that you've given us this evening and the faith that you placed in our commission to do this work.
Oops, excuse me. See if this works. Yes, it does. All right. Starting off with from the beginning, we have amendment number 1. Oh wait, these are just some details that we've already been through. Sorry. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. All right. We're going to start with amendment number 1, and this basically would go back to the pre-2002 system where a county chair was appointed by the council at the beginning of the year for a 1-year term and not to serve more than 2 consecutive terms. And also, we would also be appointing a vice chair at that time. This would commence on January 1st of 2029 after the current chair has left office. So whoever is elected for that would go to a at-large seat. And then we're also included in this, and then of course we are also, since we are doing away with the county chair as an elected office, that being elected by the people, we are also removing the mandatory duties under 307.1, which are the county chair's specific duties, including the annual report requirement. Now, this does not mean this stuff could not be done. It would just be at the discretion of the council, so, at that point. Now, also one more important change in this amendment is there was a term limit change. Traditionally, we have restricted people from serving who, at the time of qualifying, will have served 8 years in their current office from qualifying for that office again. We have simply changed that language, or the Charter Review Commission has proposed changing that language so that it would pertain to being on the county council. So traditionally, you had a situation where if somebody had been a district council member for 2 terms, 2 full terms at 8 years when they that their term would have been up when they qualify, what would happen is that they could then run for one of the at-large position or the chair position. Upon this term limit change, they would only be able to serve 2 terms, then they'd have to take a hiatus before they ran for another office on the county council. Moving along, we're going to amendment number 2. That is the removal of charter limitations regarding reimbursement of work-related expenses for council members. This is a rather simple amendment, at least textually speaking. All it does is remove the last sentence of section 304 under compensation, which previously said the salary, well, again, if it's approved, the salary shall constitute full compensation for all services and in-county expenses, except that out-of-county expenses as permitted by law shall be authorized. What that means is that that mandate would no longer be effective, and it would be up to the council through either the travel policy or ordinance or resolution to determine how county council members are reimbursed for in-county and out-of-county. So again, by removing that, it's no longer mandated by charter. It would be left up to the council, and they can make them subject to the travel policies that the employees are. But you would no longer have that mandate which says that you have to be compensated for out-of-county expenses, but you cannot be compensated for in-county expenses. Moving on to Amendment 3, this has been referred to colloquially as the cleanup amendment or the housekeeping amendment. As everyone knows, in 2018, voters approved Amendment 10 to the Florida Constitution, which required all 67 counties in Florida to maintain separate elected constitutional offices of the clerk, sheriff, tax collector, property appraiser, and supervisor of elections. Obviously, prior to that time, Volusia County had a unique system where we had made many of those constitutional officers elected department heads within the county. There's a lot in the charter that continues to refer to them that way. And what we've done is we've gone through, the Charter Review Commission went through the entire thing, taking out all the things that specifically pertain to those constitutional offices that the county really has no power over. Honestly, the Florida Constitution is effective regardless of what the charter says, but it would be a lot easier for future generations if they're reading the charter to be able to be, oh, wait, have to kind of figure out what applies and what doesn't at this point in time. So that is what that amendment number 3 would do. And that is kind of a long one because there were a lot of changes that had to be done. Amendment number 4, this was another kind of cleanup provision. We have a very detailed Article 10 regarding personnel administration in the county charter. Basically, if you go through it, there's a lot of in the weeds detail on how personnel is to be appointed. I believe at point they even have like qualifications for, you've got for the personnel director and things like that. These, when the Charter Review Commission was discussing these items, they identified them as items that most local governments cover in their ordinances or in their personnel policies and resolutions, and not necessarily in their charter. Again, the Charter Review Commission, looking at the charter as a kind of a structural document that structures government, allows it to be built, the rest of it to be built around the more specific things, thought that they would just kind of take, and if you look through, got it. Thanks, John. There we go. Thought that they would look through, and they just kind of decided to cut a lot of this. Again, it does not mean that all that's going to be gone. What it does mean is that it will no longer be mandated by charter or dictated by charter, and that the county council, if it wants flexibility with ordinances or resolutions governing personnel policies and things of that nature. The one section that will survive that amendment, if that amendment is approved, is that section 1001, which mandates a merit system and requires the county to enact all ordinances as may be necessary to fully implement the merit system. And of course, the merit system is currently implemented by ordinances, so the sky is not going to fall if this is approved. It just means that things will be dictated by ordinance, and all these mandatory provisions that are in the charter will kind of go away. Amendment number 5, I believe Mr. Watts identified this one as having received a lot of chatter. I'll explain what it actually does. I think actually Mr. Watts did a pretty good job himself, but just to go over the specifics as to why it is this way, we noted in the Charter Review Commission's review of a proposal to preserve conservation, or to prohibit the sale of conservation lands, or at least make it a little bit more intentional for it to be done, that sections 125.35 and 125.38 Florida statutes tell counties in Florida how they are to sell or transfer their real property. And if you read those statutes, you'll note that they place the control of that in the hands of the Board of the County Commissioners. So we can do some stuff, but we have to make it so that it will, if you mesh those two provisions together, they can, that they will go together and that you won't have a conflict. So rather than try to go against the statute, which mandates that the Board of County Commissioners makes those decisions with regard to the sale of real property, what the Charter Review Commission did was they decided to just change the voting threshold. So in essence, the county council would still be making the decisions on selling lands or trading them, as 125.38 allows us to trade with governmental entities, nonprofits, and things of that nature. And it would just increase the voting threshold for any lands placed on a registry. Now, how lands get on that registry? The Conservation Lands Registry, after some discussion, the Charter Review Commission came up with the idea that you could put lands on there by a majority plus one vote of the entire council, we're talking 5 out of 7 members, to put them on there and to remove them. And then once properties are on that Conservation Lands Registry, they are not subject to sale, divestiture, or transfer by the county. Now, if a property is to be removed from the registry, not only do they need that majority plus one vote of the entire council, but they must, at least 30 days prior to delisting the property from the registry, publish a notice on the county's website that contains a legal description of the property being removed and a statement as to why the property is no longer necessary for conservation purposes. Now, regardless of all this, we did take into the account the fact sometimes there are people, bigger bears in the room, that can take our property without us really having much of a say in it. I'm talking about eminent domain, like the federal government comes down and they decide they want to take land, or another entity that has a power of eminent domain that's superior to our own. So we do allow it to be transferred to entities having the authority of eminent domain. We also allow the properties on the registry to be used for a public purpose by the county, so that if we need drainage easements or something, we can do that. Obviously, if we have partnerships with people regarding any of these lands that we might put on the registry, what would happen is that it would be using it for a public purpose would obviously be subject to those agreements. Those are contractual. So at any rate, that is the Conservation Lands Registry Amendment Number 5 and constitutes the last amendment that the Charter Review Commission has proposed for referendum in November. And with that, just questions and comments.
Any questions from the council? Councilman Johansson.
Yeah, real quick one. I tried to glean it from the information provided. For the constitutional officers, even though we separate them from the charter, this isn't going to prevent us from having those interdepartmental relationships we already have with like legal, insurance, and personnel. Anything of that nature?
Oh, no. It just stops referring to them as department heads.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you.
Councilman Santiago.
Thank you. On the last amendment, I think it was number 5, do we have defined or referenced anywhere what constitutes a public purpose, or is it by state statute?
The term public purpose is usually given a legal definition. It is given a legal definition, and there are cases that go over what a public purpose it is. It has to primarily benefit the public, or what they call the paramount public purpose test generally, which means that it'd be used for county purposes and things like that. I think what, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I think what the Charter Review Commission was looking at was allowing, not boxing us in, so that if those lands could be used for something like, say, a fire station or something like that to serve that area, that we wouldn't be accidentally hemmed in. So you're talking about things like fire, police, anything that a county normally does as a governmental function, utilities, whatever may be required. And again, the placement of anything like that would be subject to any sort of contractual or other, restrictions or land restrictions that may be placed on that.
Would the 30-day notice still be applicable under the public purpose?
No. Basically, they could be used as a public purpose. I'm thinking of things that might, so you would not need to do the 30 days is only if you intend to delist the property from the registry once it's placed on there.
So it would just follow any other transaction that comes across this county council, a public hearing to approve the purchase, probably, more than likely. Well, it wouldn't be approval of purchase. I just talked myself out of that. Okay. It gives me some thought. Thank you.
All right.
Councilman Kent.
Thank you, Chairman. Following in the same vein as Councilman Santiago, the conservation of land piece. So you mentioned a couple of sensational things like fire departments and police stations. What about less sensational things?
Well, I mean, there could be drainage easements. I mean, when I was talking about fire departments, I was talking about kind of those rural stations that you might have,
sure,
just in the event of a forest fire or something like that.
No, I appreciate it because, things like that tickle my buying bone. I'm in for things like that, when I start hearing about police stations and fire stations, but now, I wanted to hear about the less sensational things, which I hope we have even some more ideas, because now I'm hearing like drainage ditch, because, and I apologize, I should have started with, because it says questions and or comments, and Chair, I know you've done a really good job as of recently, I'd say the past 2 years, of keeping us on track and following the rules that this elected body has put before us to be run by, but it does say comments as well. I should have started with, I want to thank this commission for your volunteerism, your specialty into this hard work, the basic year of your life that you donated your time. Thank each and every one of you for doing that. And now back to the question that Mr. Santiago started with. Can you think of any other less sensational things that we could possibly be taking forever land away from and not making it so forever?
Well, I mean, I think the thought was things that would be complementary to the use of land as conservation lands. I'm thinking of things like environmental centers, sometimes educational centers. I know, I think the city of DeBerry purchased some land that they intend to put out there. In addition to keeping it as conservation land, they want people to come and be educated. So they have small, as far as I know, complex out there where you can visit and see exhibits and things, kind of in the vein of our Marine Science Center out in Ponce, things like that.
I genuinely thank you for your honesty on that, and I appreciate that, because for me, I talked about tickling my buying bone, but then I'm going to talk about rubbing me the wrong way. And I think what rubs some people the wrong way is the county, when they want taxpayer money for something, they use a term called Volusia forever. And you have that word in there, forever. And it's a good buying tactic to get all of the people out there who are concerned about keeping land forever. And then they're not so crazy about that word when they might need to change it for something. All of a sudden, maybe we shouldn't have called it forever. Forever until 5 out of 7 think it's a good idea. So I'm just wondering, I heard Mr. Watson, I appreciated his comment about could possibly help us down the road from getting attacked legally, but Alachua County hasn't had anybody even question it from what I understand, so just some food for thought. At the end of the day, this is going before our voters, and they're going to be able to vote on this and have their 2 cents be heard, but thank you for your comments, I appreciate it.
I think it's important, though, you've touched on something I think it's important to discuss, and that is, while Alachua County has not had a legal challenge, Sarasota has, and theirs got thrown out. And the rationale was what Mr. Chumley had discussed was kind of like other preemptions that we deal with. The state law has provided a process that you're the decision maker on selling the land. It adds some different restrictions that you have to go through, but ultimately it's your decision. And that's how Sarasota's ruling went in that case. It's true, Alachua hasn't had a challenge that we're aware of. Certainly it's still in the books.
And I'll just add that Orange County recently adopted a conservation lands charter amendment in 2024 at their referendum. And it also had this majority +1 of the entire council vote requirement to dispense with land. So we in part modeled it on that. It seems that Orange County shared the opinion, at least that we did, that 125-35 and 125-38 Florida statutes prohibits a referendum. And again, the Sarasota case that the county attorney was talking about, there was a provision there in Sarasota where they decided that they had gotten a referendum that said they couldn't sell any parklands. And they said, well, that can't coexist with 125-35 and 125-38, and therefore is unconstitutional. And even if you're trying to say that you could use a referendum to repeal it or to get rid of it, the referendum requirement still runs afoul of the statute because it takes it out of the hands of the governing board of the county where the state has clearly put it there. And that was the court's reasoning in that case.
Vice Chair Reinhardt.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Kent, along the lines of what you're going, I'm glad you brought it up too. Because there were a lot of aspects about Alachua County, I'll admit, I liked. But after hearing Mr. Watts, after hearing Mr. Dyer, after talking to yet another land use attorney about it, I'm not an attorney. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express. I have to rely on what is being told to me. So, you want to talk about jails, I'm your guy. But it was concerning the fact that when it was pointed out to me, a couple of things that stood out. Number one is how we differentiate from municipality and how we handle conservation lands. And how a county, it puts it in our hands right now. We could take a piece of forever and remove it by a simple majority. Correct?
That is correct, assuming there's not any other.
Exactly. I'm just saying basically, though, you can remove it by a simple majority. What this does is it puts it on that registry, creates transparency, and it also adds yet another level of protection by making it a supermajority. And from what you're telling me, in order to put it on the list, also is going to require the supermajority?
Yes.
So that makes it fair. So, because I know that question was brought up. If you're making a supermajority to take it off, why don't you make a supermajority to put it on? So, again, I liked the Alachua, but I also understand why we're here. I do know that the makeup in Alachua County may be different from that of Volusia County and why it hasn't been challenged. I'm going to call it what it is. So I commend them for the fact that they haven't been challenged yet, and I hope that they don't. But I don't necessarily want to take that risk. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate the work and the efforts that are put forth. But I wanted to put that out there, that at least I was aware of it. I was well-versed on it. I was given information on it. I really did like it. But I also understand the obstacles that are in place, and this sets forth the best protection possibly about keeping those lands in protection. So thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Vice Chair. There's also other options that we could do, and I'll bring one up at closing comments, because right now this council is not voting on 5 different. We can't. We got to either. What we can vote on is to push this along to the second and the third public hearing, and so that's what we'll be voting on. I'll call on Councilman Robbins in a minute. We have 8 people who would like to speak. We need to hear them before we do anything else. But Councilman Danny Robbins.
I was going to make a motion to approve.
Actually, I just had a comment.
Go ahead.
No action is required from the council on this day. This is just the first of 3 public hearings. There will be a resolution asked of the council at the 3rd public hearing, which I believe is scheduled for June 16th. Really, this is just the first of 3 public hearings that are required by the charter on these, and they're supposed to, my guess is they're supposed to be informational.
Correct. Councilman Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to elaborate a little bit. I think where you were going, Mr. Chair, for the public's purpose, that we have no say in any of these charter amendments.
That's correct.
So this is pure, by our charter, they put it directly on the ballot. We can't modify it. We can't deny any of these. It is purely up to the voters to decide based on the work that they did. We can do other charter amendments, but we can't touch any of theirs. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That's exactly right. Okay. If you're done, I'll call on the 8 people that want to speak on this. You'll have 3 minutes or less, if you care to take less. First is James Clayton.
I'll pass.
Okay. I like that. Wendy Anderson. And you'll be followed by John Nicholson, and John will be followed by Kat Pante.
Thank you, Wendy Anderson. I live in District 1. So the thing that gives me the most heartburn, of course, about the Volusia Forever Amendment is the vagueness of the language about public purpose. And, you know, as we are sometimes reminded, we need to read the fine print in the contract, right? And so I think that the public purpose is probably referencing some state statute that defines public purpose for conservation land. And yeah, I wasn't at many of the Charter Review Commission meetings, so maybe you all went over this in detail, but to some of the concerns that Mr. Kent and others already expressed, that list in the state statute includes correction and detention facilities, military installations, including bombing ranges, state office buildings, university campuses, hospitals and clinics. I don't mind the idea of an environmental learning center or a fire tower or some other thing that they mentioned, you know, may be appropriate and adjacent to conservation land purposes, but a lot of these are simply not. And I don't know if it is within our authority to actually exclude some of these elements that are listed in the state statute from our amendment, but I could not bear to have our forever conservation land turned over to, you know, to another purpose that would truly take it out of conservation. I do think that our Volusia Forever land is supposed to be forever, and I think that if the county itself needs other lands for other purposes, like fire stations or other law enforcement, there are other capital funds to go acquire those lands in other ways. We should not be tapping Volusia Forever funds or existing Volusia Forever lands for that. So, again, I don't know if you have to throw the whole baby out with the bathwater on the Volusia Forever amendment, but that one I think is really concerning. Thank you.
Thank you. John Nicholson?
John Nicholson, Daytona Beachside. Basically, I see three of these as cleanup. Basically, nothing we can do about it. It just makes things more clear, follows state law, et cetera, et cetera. So 1 and 5 are the ones that I have to look at. One, the idea of electing a chair or not. I don't think any of you all were here when they put this into effect. Frank Bruno turned out to be a pretty good chair, all right? The idea that you rotate year after year, sorry, Jeff, but it took you like 4 years for you to settle down and be a chair. It takes some getting used to. It takes some used to getting everybody on the same page. And to turn around and kick them out when they just get used to doing what they're supposed to be doing and get a new chair. It is not the best use of somebody's time as rolling over, all right? So personally, I like the idea of having somebody get used to the idea and getting what I consider relatively good counsel at this point, all right? 2 years ago, you were not at the same point. You're doing much better this time. So I would go against this. I also dislike it for the idea that 5 people, or 4, because the majority chooses the chair versus 600,000 choosing the chair. I would rather the public choose the chair to represent all of us, because this is a good diverse council. I've had 20 since I've been here. Not all are like you, trust me. And they have ulterior motives, and to have them choose sometimes is not the best. Regarding the Volusia Forever, again, I said, it depends on what you mean by forever, depends on who's looking at forever. You all will not be sitting here for the next 30, 40, 50, 100 years. So who knows what the board is going to be at that time. I like the idea that Alachua has that the public, since the public put this money aside, the public determines if for whatever other reasons you all want to decide, whether it be motocross, whether it be whatever, bombing range, if you happen to be MAGA Republicans, you all want to have a big camp out there and you decided that you're going to take an area for a Donald Trump bombing range or whatever. Who knows who's going to sit in those chairs in the future? So I would rather have the public, since they bought the property, be the ones that determine how it's sold. Thank you.
Catherine Pante.
Good evening, Council, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I want to begin by noting that any Florida statute, county charter amendment, or local ordinance can be challenged in court if the challenging party has the proper legal standing. For that reason, I believe it is a weak argument for the chair of the Charter Review Commission to suggest otherwise, especially when that chair is also one of the leading land use attorneys for development interests in Volusia County. By that same logic, every ordinance adopted in the past 5 years, as well as the charter amendments before you tonight, could also be challenged. While I personally believe Chairman Watts is a decent person, I find it concerning that he and a majority of the Charter Review Commission voted to create a loophole that would allow the county to develop Volusia Forever conservation lands. During discussions, one member even asked, what if we need a fire station? If a fire station is needed because of new development, then that infrastructure should have been planned and funded by the development that created the demand in the first place. That is exactly what development impact fees are intended to cover. We do not need a charter amendment that claims to protect conservation land while simultaneously creating a loophole broad enough to allow taxpayer-funded conservation lands to be used for undefined public purposes. effectively subsidizing costs that developers should be responsible for paying. Two Florida counties, Alachua County and Miami-Dade, already have long-standing charter protections that provide the highest level of protection for conservation lands, parks, and preserve. Both counties require voter approval by referendum before conservation land can be sold or disposed of. The residents of Volusia County deserve the same level of protection for lands purchased with their tax dollars. All of you, with the exception of Councilman Dempsey, have stated that you support perpetuity and the Volusia Forever program. If that support is genuine, then this is the opportunity to demonstrate it, not just with words, but with action that respects the public's investment in land conservation. With that in mind, I respectfully ask all of you to support and place on the ballot the Alachua-style charter amendment to protect our conservation lands. This council has both the authority and the legislative power to place its own charter amendments before the voters. You also have the authority to request a Charter Review Commission to withdraw its amendment. Land conservation remains one of the strongest protections we have for water quality, flood mitigation, and overall quality of life. I also ask that you give residents a meaningful win here, especially since not a single amendment proposed by residents was advanced to the ballot, despite the many citizens who participated in the listening sessions and brought forward thoughtful suggestions. The Sarasota amendment comparison is extremely misleading. It was overturned because there was a strict prohibition that did not have an exception for state or federal eminent domain as required by statute. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Pat Northey, and you will be followed by Amy Menizzi.
Good evening. How are you all doing today? I just want to reiterate some of the remarks that Mark had made. Some in our community have asked you to place an Alachua County style charter amendment on the ballot, even though the county attorneys have said it would be vulnerable to legal challenges, which is why it failed to pass the CRC, and it was discussed at CRC last October. Currently, there is no state or local provision that protects conservation land owned by Volusia County at this time. Right now, under state law, the Volusia County Council may dispose of any land it owns, including conservation land, if they deem it in the public interest. That comes from Florida Statute 125-35. The proposed Charter Amendment 5 adds greater protection for Volusia County's conservation lands than what we have today, and crucially, it is consistent both with the state constitution and state laws, meaning it's not vulnerable to legal challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy Menizzi, and you'll be followed by David Gall.
I want to thank Councilman Reinhardt for hitting the nail right on the head, and of course, Ms. Northey did as well. The Volusia County Council has the right and authority right now to sell conservation lands if you choose to do that, and it just has to be a majority. And that's a fact, it's state law. So all those social media chatter, it's just static, but the truth is you already have the right to sell conservation lands by a simple majority now if you choose to do that based on a need for the public good. So Mr. Reinhardt was exactly right by saying that this Amendment 5 is strengthening what we already have, and it's saying that these lands need to be put on a registry, and you get to vote a majority plus one to put those on the registry, and then a majority plus one before you can take it off. So it certainly strengthens what we already have now, and it takes it a step farther so that these lands can be protected in a registry, and they can be protected by a supermajority vote. So I think it's very important to cut through the static and listen to those facts and keep that at the forefront. I also want to say that Mr. Watts did a phenomenal job. He is a model of what a chairman of an organization should be. And for him to be attacked because of what he does for a living is really outrageous. It's pathetic. And it's just social media nonsense that we put up with all the time. This man did a phenomenal job. He unified everyone. When we came together with completely different points of view and opinions, he listened to what we had to say. There were times when he had a point of view that the rest didn't agree with, and he went with the majority. Now, that's true leadership. And so I appreciate him taking time out of his schedule and taking his time to lead that organization. We were really blessed to have him as the chairman of our group. And so I thank him, and I thank the rest of my fellow commissioners that served on this 26th commission. It was a high honor to serve with them. Thank you.
David Gall. And you will be followed by Ben Johnson.
Good afternoon, Council. I apologize for not dressing nicely today. I would like to thank Catherine Pente for her remarks. I echo those sentiments. I would also like to thank the last woman who just spoke for her remarks, because I believe that this charter amendment does strengthen our resolve to maintain our Volusia forever lands in perpetuity. I think it's not strong enough. There's been a lot of talk about the Alachua Amendment. The Miami-Dade Charter Amendment also comes to mind. It's been in the social media chatter, and the reason it's there is because it is stronger than this proposal, and I think we need a stronger proposal than this one. When the people say in perpetuity, we do not mean until a developer can pack the board to subvert our will and relinquish that preserved lands into the greedy maw of the so-called inevitable progress that I have heard cited at too many of these meetings. Sale, divestiture, transfer, lease, public purpose, sledding, yes, sledding, because a public purpose is a very slippery slope. We worry about a hospital or a fire department or a university campus on our public, perpetually preserved lands. But the drainage ditch worries me more. 50 years ago, I watched Vero Beach, Florida, take a protected wetland, which no one could get to build on. Everyone wanted to put a condo there. No one could get a permit. The city put pumps there and drained that land, and 7 years later, there was a hospital there, and now there's condos there. So in perpetuity doesn't mean anything if you can put public purpose on there, even something as simple as a drainage ditch. As to amendment number 1, I agree with the other gentleman that we need a strong county chair, like a strong mayor in many cities. We need an elected county chair, not a circulating chair that changes every year, because we need someone with experience, like Mr. Brower now has, to guide the county council in its deliberations. I have a whole bunch of prepared remarks about the Florida aquifer and how Volusia County is extremely important to the maintenance of the Florida aquifer, and it goes directly to the preservation of our lands. Unfortunately, I don't have time to outline that, but I would like you to take the time yourselves to look at the USGS Florida aquifer map on the internet and look at where the unconfined drainage into that aquifer exists. Right now, the Florida Big Bend area is under an exceptional drought, and that area is where most of the water for the aquifer comes from. Can I have 10 seconds? Volusia County is the other place, the only other place.
You are out of time, but good job. Thank you for coming. Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson, DeLand, Florida. I am very proud of the fact that I have always supported forever, both as a citizen and as a county councilman. This was probably the most kicked around topic that we had, and we tried to find a solution that best fit the citizens and you, the sitting councils. You can take the advice of the committee y'all put together, that we came up with a solution. May not be perfect, but it was something that we felt like we could all work with. Or you can put something else on there that in the future some of you may actually be hamstrung because you can't react when you have to. What if you do need 2 acres, 3 acres for a fire department out there? Oh yes, the citizen's supposed to pay for it. Well, you have once, but the idea of the fire department being able to put there, not only to protect your citizens, but also to protect that piece of property. Or a fire station where you may, or a police station where you may need 1 acre for the sheriff's office so you can have, your citizens protected and the property. We don't know what the future is going to bring for our taxes. That's a very big controversy, a very big problem, and next year you're going to have to probably deal with that, very likely. You may not have money in the future to be able to buy lands. That may be one of the ad valorem taxes that come off. You may have to go to zero millage on something like that. Now what happens if you come up with a chance to pick up 500 or 5,000 acres that you may be able to leverage 50, 150 acres to take and get something that is much better for the citizens of Volusia County. Don't hamstring yourselves in future commissions to where you're not able to take and react and do what is necessary for the future. Short-term thinking can be a long-term problem. I'm very much for forever. I want to see this land protected, but I also want to see the citizens of Volusia County protected. And I know when I sat on that council how many times we were hamstrung by something that was handed to us somewhere that we could not act or react in a manner of which we should. I think this is a good solution. It's the best one out there. It gives the citizens 30 days to react if they don't like what's happening and to lobby our sitting councils, and also allows y'all to make the right decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, and that concludes the public comment for item 5, and there really isn't a vote required, but this will move on to the next public hearing, which is at the next county council meeting.
That is correct.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Item 6 is a quasi-judicial hearing on an appeal that will be presented by Jessica Gao. Before we proceed, does any council member have any ex parte that they would like to declare?
Kind of, yes. Email.
Email? Attorney?
Yeah, attorney email.
And you said what? Email. Email for me as well with the attorney? Phone call? Nothing? They don't like you? Okay. Okay, thank you. Ray?
Good evening, council members. Ray Tyner, Growth and Resource Management Director. This is an appeal of the Planning and Land Development Regulations Commission, a variance. It's properties located at 1774 and 7076 John Anderson Drive, Ormond Beach. You can see the middle is an aerial. It's within a development area on the waterway. Again, this is for a variance having related to maximum lot coverage. The R3 zoning requires a 35% lot coverage. The applicant or the homeowner has a proposal for 46%. And went before the PLDRC for their vote, and they had denied this specific variance request. What's existing on the property now, as you can see in front of you, to the north, which is parcel 2, is an existing home. Total area is a little over 5,000 square feet for the property. The existing home on the property is a little over 2,400 square feet, and the lot coverage is 44% over what the existing code is. It's a legal non-conforming. The house was built prior to the 1988 code that went into effect that establishes the lot coverage. To the south of the property, parcel 1, there is an existing home, a little over 5,000 square feet. The lot coverage is 5,521 square feet. The existing home on the property is 1,595, and the lot coverage is at 29%. What the property owner is
requesting, what they're wanting to do is they purchased the property to the south and they want to combine that to make one lot. So what that would do is they're proposing on the south, the north property remains, that home remains. They're going to do an addition to the south property to propose a 2,661 square foot structure that would hold 6 cars with living quarters on top of the garages. So basically, if you look on the left-hand side, the total area for the two lots combined is a little over 11,000 square feet. You know, the code requires 35% of lot coverage, which would mean 3,881 square feet approximately. At 46%, what the proposal is that the lot coverage would be about 5,104 square feet of total lot coverage. Difference is about 1,200. So if you were to uphold the planning commission, they would have to reduce significantly the proposed structure to the south to about 1,400, give or take, square feet. The applicant has a position. I'm not going to go over that. They have a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to let them speak, and they have a presentation. The PLDRC public hearing that was held on March 19th, they denied the variance by 4-2. Member Shelley and Member Costa were dissent. The chair was absent at that meeting. The discussion wasn't a whole lot regarding this request to deny. It was really based on concerns about increasing the impervious-pervious ratio, having impervious on the lot. There was no public opposition that attended. To date, we haven't heard any public opposition. We did receive a letter of support from an abutting neighbor supporting all of the variances. Again, the applicant is being represented by Cobb and Cole, and they have a presentation, Chair.
Did you have a question for Ray? Okay, go ahead, Councilman Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you briefly tell us the other variances that were requested and whether they were approved or not?
Yeah, there were 10 variances. 9 of them have been approved. 4 of them were dealing with setbacks on the property, and then the other 4 had to do with the fence and the size of the fence, raising the fence from like 4 to 6 feet.
Was it reduction in setbacks?
It was reduction in setbacks.
And
yes.
Higher fence?
And higher fence line, yes.
That's it, pretty much?
Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll wait for the applicant.
Okay. Jessica?
Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. For the record, Jessica Gao with Cobb Cole Law Firm, 1 Daytona Boulevard, Daytona Beach, Florida. I do have a formal presentation. I can go through that for questions and kind of specifics, but at a high level, I think staff hit on it. This site was built 2 properties. You've got the ones right next door. Were built mid-1950s, so before the current rules. So it has what we see a lot in this experience in this area, where the current structures are legally non-conforming. They can remain there. If they got wiped out by a hurricane, they couldn't rebuild. And so the request before you is that we have purchased 2 properties. They have 2 very distinct homes on them right now, different architectural styles, different colors. We are proposing the removal of one and a expansion of the other. There are architectural renderings in the backup of the staff materials to show you what that would look like and complement that home that is currently at 1776. That is the home to remain. That is the home that is directly adjacent to the property to the north that has supplied a letter of support for the project. To the south of this site is it's the Roberta Kayak Launch and dock. So that is a public right-of-way there. As noted, the existing lots already do not meet the required setbacks, lot coverage, or any of those items based on the nature and when they were built. As noted, the change of the request is that for the property increasing from that existing ratio of 44%, the end result is 46%. The basis for the appeal and kind of the explanation is, as noted, there were 10 variances. 9 of them were approved. Variances are site plan specific, and so one is that if this variance is not approved, I think we have to restart on the plan and go through that process again for the other 9. But the other is that in the discussion with the PLDRC, and we were not involved at that point, we were brought in afterwards to review this, their concern was about impervious surface. So lot coverage is just the area on the site that's covered by primary and accessory structures, just the building. So this request before you does not result in a more impervious surface than what the code would already allow. And so I think that's where they got confused between lot coverage, which sounds like the coverage of the lot, but is truly just building coverage. And that impervious surface does not change. It will meet the code. I know your staff, and we would recommend to a client that we do not propose anything that reduces the ability for drainage in those standards here in the county. So again, overall, when you look at what is allowed on this site, staff had those topics of the actual change in square footage from the existing to the proposed. If you look at what is permitted on 1774 for lot coverage, 1776 already exceeds, you're looking at a difference of 123 square feet is above what could be built there. And so with that request, we think that this is why variances exist, so that if it makes sense, if we're getting economic activity in this corridor of older development, that we would like to be able to bring this forward, get something that matches the character of the surrounding area. I'm here for questions, and I can go over any of the number details in the PowerPoint as well.
Thank you. I just have a couple questions. I think it's important to this whole council, when we get a recommendation from PLDRC, we take it seriously. They're one of the busiest boards in the county. They work really hard. And so I take what they say seriously. But honestly, I got to tell you, when I looked at this, I was kind of perplexed. Why 9 and not the 10? So I looked at the map, at the area. It's very high density. And the highest density is east of this. And I'm familiar with that area. The stormwater travels, it'll travel towards this home. It comes downhill, it goes west. I'm curious, have you seen a drainage plan yet? And is it, I'm assuming it's drains to the Halifax.
Yeah, so overall, the drainage will be reviewed in the permitting directly across the street from this site, right along, I want to get the roadway correct, Sunrise Cove. There is a stormwater pond there, kind of directly catty-corner to this site.
Okay, so the pervious to impervious ratio is important. I'm not sure it applies here, and I'm not concerned with flooding in this area with a house or right on the river. I still haven't seen any negative emails from neighbors. I've seen support from neighbors. So I don't know why. I hate voting against the PLDRC, but I'm struggling with the fairness of this. So, Councilman Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you give another explanation for this impervious surface and the 35%? I didn't quite grasp it.
Yeah, and that's what I think that, I can't speak for PLDRC, I just reviewed the tape. The discussion overall was about drainage and flooding and whether allowing a higher building coverage, lot coverage, would result in more impervious surface on the property. Those are very distinct requirements under the Land Development Code. Again, the lot coverage that we're looking at here, when you hear it, you think lot coverage, impervious surface. But it is just the area covered by a principal and accessory structure. It doesn't count your driveways, doesn't count your pool patios, all of those other impervious areas that you see on a site. That is regulated separately under the county rules. We are not changing that. And so I think the PLDRC discussion focused on we don't want to have more impervious area on this site, but that's not what we're modifying. We're not exceeding the impervious standards.
Understood. Thank you. Mr. Chair, if I could I get, I don't know, Paolo or somebody's interpretation of that? Does it agree with what she's saying?
Yes. So I think the applicant actually, and this is in the record, so I'm not providing anything new, their impervious surface ratio, which includes any of the paved areas, includes any of the under roof areas, includes the pool, is at 72%. Our standards are you can have an impervious surface ratio, ISR of 80%. It's really a stormwater requirement and regulation. Lot coverage is just anything that is roofed. So, your accessory structures, your buildings, does not count your pool. So you can have, you can put 80% of your lot under some kind of impervious area, concrete, pavers, and have like a lot coverage of like 15% if you just want to live the simple life and have a tiny bungalow and a giant pool. That's perfectly fine. So they're two separate things. So lot coverage is really a mass and scale. How big of a house in, as ratio to how big of a lot. And then your ISR is really your stormwater that is supposed to have some permeability to prevent, that kind of excess runoff to your neighbors.
So Powell, if we approve this, it wouldn't be violating that impervious surface requirement, correct?
No, that's done at the building code level.
Okay.
And once again, that's a stormwater.
I just wanted to put that on the record in case we vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
See no questions. Thank you. What I need at this point is a motion from any one of you.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion to, well, this is actually a negative, so we can either reverse it, affirm it, or.
Motion to reverse.
To reverse the PLDRC's decision.
So yes, your motion to approve would be motion to grant the appeal, which reverses the PLDRC's
Motion
decision.
to grant the appeal.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Powell.
Seconded that.
Vice Chair Reinhardt makes the motion to grant the appeal. The second was by David Santiago. And for comment, Troy Kent.
Thank you, Chairman. And I'll just say publicly, Chairman, I also take it very seriously, I think as all of us do, to go against the advice of the PLDRC, and I haven't normally done that. But I agree with everything you said earlier, Chairman. So I too will be supporting this.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, all in favor of granting the reversal of the decision, please say aye.
Aye.
Before anybody else votes, we had a member of the public that wanted to speak, John Nicholson. Oh, thank you.
I saw him standing there.
John Nicholson, Beachside. Normally I would oppose this, all right? But if you look at it, one of the two houses being torn down, it constitutes 29% of the property, lot coverage. So they're increasing what would have been allowed on that property, basically. So the property to the north, which is grandfathered in, is just adding that little section, I guess it's 5 foot or whatever it is, between the two houses. The reason for the code is that you not increase the amount of water that cannot be accommodated by your property. This sits on the Halifax River. Any water, if you've been to John Anderson, it slopes down to the river. There's no way it's going to go upriver to any of the properties up higher than themselves. So, one, I don't think it's increasing that much in terms of impervious surfaces. Secondly, if you're familiar with John Anderson, those homes are expensive. I'm looking at this house. It is going to be much more expensive than I think even Hyatt Brown's home. This is what we need in the area. More, even if we could, Griffin and those people that are moving into Miami, if we could entice them to move to Ormond Beach instead of Miami Beach, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Those big homes bring in a lot of tax money, and they do a lot for charity, which you're talking about your cultural arts. Thank you very much.
Okay, one more time. The vote will be to affirm the appeal brought by Cobb Cole, which reverses the PLDRC decision. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Item 7, proposed changes to the Planning and Land Development Regulation Commission attendance policy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Paulo Soria, Senior Assistant County Attorney. Good evening. This is a request from your Planning and Land Development Regulation Commission, or your PLDRC, to look at their attendance policy on essentially how many meetings can they miss for any reason whatsoever before the seat is automatically vacated. So the current provision is that a PLDRC member can miss 2 within a calendar year, and the moment they miss the third meeting within that calendar year, for any reason whatsoever, the seat is automatically vacated. PLDRC had a long discussion on determining, is there a way to do excused absences, for medical reasons versus unexcused absences. It got a little bit complicated, and so after a lot of that discussion, PLDRC decided to make the request to council to change the ordinance so that they can miss 3 meetings in a 12-month period, and that the 4th meeting, the seat would automatically be vacated. Additionally, they are requesting that time frame of when you count to go from the calendar year to April to April, which is the 12-month period for when they are appointed, because they are appointed beginning in the April month. So when you do calendar year, you have that odd kind of 4 to 8 month period between those calendar years where you can rack up 3 straight meetings, and then the calendar year goes by, and then you're fine. So to them, it just kind of made sense to increase the number of absences allowed, and then to change the time frame of counting. But once again, this is council policy, council direction. If you provide direction, we'll come back with an ordinance.
Okay, council, what is your, Councilman Santiago?
Yeah, I mean, are they trying to solve a problem? What occurred that initiated this for them?
Sure. So we had one member for PLDRC who, without getting into too much details, had family issues, who had medical issues that he had to attend, and then that person, the member, then picked up some medical issues, and then missed 3 within a calendar year. And then PLDRC was operating for 6 members for a period of months, and it resulted in a lot of tie votes because they deal with a lot of somewhat controversial items. And whenever there is 6 members, you have the opportunity for a tie vote, which nothing gets done. And we had a lot of recommendations without a majority vote, or a lot of delays and things like that. So their goal is to try to keep a full 7-member board as much as possible. This does not mean that council can't remove any one of them for any reason whatsoever. You still have that opportunity, but this just kind of prevents the issue of someone runs into a scenario where they inadvertently miss 3 and then they're automatically off.
Could it not? I hate to do a change in policy for what seems to be one scenario. I don't know how long you've been on this board. I mean, we've had, or legally representing this board for us, how many times this has occurred. But in that scenario, could not the council member that originally appointed that person reappoint them back to the seat based on the terms of the conditions of what happened?
Yes.
So there is an opportunity for that individual to get back on if the council member so chooses. So I don't think we should change anything. And that's just my opinion. And if the council member wants to reappoint that person, you'll take that into consideration and say, yeah, I want X, Y, and Z to be back on, and I will appoint them. So I think it's a solution really looking for a problem that doesn't exist.
You're only asking for direction.
Yes.
We can't make that decision for them, can we? They need to make it themselves.
Well, they have discussed it, and they've provided a recommendation to county council, but ultimately it's your ordinance, because if I get direction, I need to change the ordinance to change the absentee policy.
Let them vote on it. Yeah, I think, what we have heard so far is that your thought is to not make any change at this time.
And mainly because there's a solution, there's a fix there. If the council member wants, if that happens, which seems like it's only happened once, based on some personal challenges that they had, that the council member can put that person right back on the next month. There's no,
Right.
if you want to.
Are you making that as a motion, no change?
I'll do that. I move to keep the status quo and tell them to keep doing their job. They're doing a good job for us.
Is there a second? Second by Vice Chair Reinhardt. Comments or questions, whichever you have, Councilman Johansson.
Thank you, sir. I would ask, Paul, I guess because you go to all of them, I would ask that as we're approaching the moment where it's going to happen, and it's pretty apparent, or it could be apparent, that you alert us right away so we can not let a PLRDC lapse for a month or two before we reappoint or make our decisions. And I would take for granted that we have problems fully manning the PLRDC, or do we have quite a few applications? And if we don't, to
You
make
always
sure,
have a few applications for PLDRC. It
make
is
sure
one
we
of
have
your-
people in the hopper in case that person can't come back, that we can reappoint pretty quickly. Thank you.
Okay. Good suggestions. Anyone else? Okay, then all in favor of no change in this circumstance, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And decision is unanimous. Item 8, alcohol, drug, and mental health funding request to leverage $13.5 million in state funding.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by David Santiago, second was by Councilman Robbins. Wasn't it? Okay.
This one's easy. Good job.
Call the question? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good presentation. Y'all are getting really good at this. Item 9 is a contract amendment with Jones Edmonds for engineering services for Gemini Springs Basin Septic to Sewer Master Plan and Phase 1 design.
Motion to
Move
approve.
You beat me. I'll second.
Is it going to be done before the 4th of July
Danny made
big
it.
event?
I'll second.
Councilman Robbins makes the motion to approve. Second was by Councilman Santiago. Questions for staff? Any comments? All in favor of the expenditure, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes 7-0. Good job, Ben. And you're up for one more, a memorandum of understanding with the city of Oak Hill for their potable water treatment.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Robbins.
Comment?
Second was by, he beat you?
I got one.
He beat me. Yeah, he beat me in. He's getting better.
Second was by Councilman Kent.
A comment, Mr. Chair?
And a comment from,
The big
question or comment?
A
Just
comment,
a comment
comment.
from Councilman Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And colleagues, this is a good move, obviously, for southern Volusia and the city of Oak Hill. I'm just happy that it's here. It's going to help, hopefully, the future of Oak Hill economically, and it also helps clean up some of the issues we have there with some of these septic tanks. So this is a good economic plus, and what's the word I'm looking for? I'm having a loss of
Benefit?
Yeah, no, nature stuff. Environmental.
Yes.
This is a huge environmental, yeah, I know it's economic. It's another E word. Environmental plus for that community over there. So thank you for all the work you did. I'm happy for Oak Hill and really happy it's here before us. Thank you.
Okay.
It's our smallest city, right? So, I'm glad that we're helping them.
Okay, all in favor of the memorandum of understanding, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That also passes unanimously, 7-0. You never had to utter a word. And that brings us to closing public participation, and we have one, John Nicholson. And he's passing.
Today's John Nichols Day. We got to do a resolution.
I lost that.
Can I take your name off?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Sorry. Brings us to closing comments of the county manager at 6:17.
We need a little clarification on the item you just voted yes on.
Yes, I apologize. So, and I should have caught this, for ADM, there were two options. One is to fund at the full request, which would require additional funding than when we budgeted, or option B, which is to, every organization will be funded at 98.5% of the request, which is the staff recommendation.
I was going with the staff recommendation. That was my intent.
Okay.
Okay, option B, is the council who voted
Yes.
unanimously good with that?
Yes.
Don, you're good?
Thank you.
Councilman Johansson? You look like you were deep in thought. Okay.
Okay, I did have two items. First off, answer the question that just came to us. The County Road 421, which is Taylor Road, that bridge suffered scour damage during the hurricanes. At the last, about a month ago, the council approved a contract to repair it. Construction is waiting some long lead times because they're going to be building a crutchment underneath. And so construction will be underway in about 2 months and be completed by the end of the year.
George, is that the information I was just talking to you about?
Yes.
Man, you're quick. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, next up, this is something that's been brought to our attention. Our current beach and dune ordinance requires a performance guarantee for seawall and revetment work along the Atlantic coast. The purpose of the performance guarantee is to protect the public's beach from unfinished work and substandard work along our beach with respect to those walls. But from recent experience, we are finding the amount of the guarantee required in the ordinance has been costly to individual property owners. I mean, we've included stuff that maybe we didn't need to, and so with your concurrence, I think I'd like to have staff explore amending the existing ordinance to reduce the amount of the guarantee or develop an alternate process that is more efficient and cost-effective. So I don't need a decision, I just need to know if council's okay with us developing that and bringing something back to you.
Question, Mr. Chair?
Yes. Councilman Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When you, in your opening, George, you said that the intent around this original program was to, I don't want to put words in your mouth, was to protect the public's part of it and what
Right,
costs.
because the seawalls, of course, are right up against the beach, and the public, you don't want people, and we had this, of course, after storms, you're sunbathing and you don't want the wall to fall on you or equipment and all that. So there's that part of it that, they need to make sure that the wall is finished and also there's a sand requirement as part of it. And that's where I think some of this may have some ability to be adjusted. And that's what we just like to explore and come back with some options of how we do that.
My concern would be when you come forward with the proposal, obviously I don't know what it is yet, is to make sure that it doesn't cost the rest of the taxpayers in Volusia County additional funds.
Right, we're very aware of that. Thank you. Very good point.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Got it?
So if no one has any objection, I'm going to go forward, work on it, and we'll bring it back at a later date.
Any objection from any council member?
And that's all.
Go ahead. County Attorney, Michael Dyer.
Nothing, thank you.
And that brings us to council members, and Councilman Johansson, you're first today.
Thank you very much, sir. Quickly, in front of you all on county letterhead there is a letter addressed to Miss Tabitha Schmidt, and it's unsigned by us, but I hope you took a quick look at it. But what it is a letter of support for the Brown, which we know as MOAS, for support for her to send in with her state grant to help go towards the $25 million we're raising from the community to help reshape the Museum of Arts and Sciences to the Brown. She asked me to bring it forward, And this is just a letter of support. It isn't a letter asking for any more money than ECHO has already given them. And I seek your concurrence and a vote to all sign this instead of just one or two or three of us, and provide it back to her to put in her package to the state.
Would you make that in the form of a motion?
Yes, a motion to approve the letter of support addressed to Ms. Schmidt, provided separately.
Second.
Question?
Motion by Jake Johansson, second by Vice Chair Reinhardt, and questions from David Santiago.
Actually, Mr. Chair, question, it's more of a comment.
Either one.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Jake, I think this is good. Could we do our electronic signatures on this, or we're gonna each sign?
The staff will take care of that.
Okay.
Yep. I just
gonna sign each. Okay.
I'm not going to do that without everybody's approval.
I got you.
And if somebody, if we don't pass, then I will do it individually.
No, I support this, and I think it's great. It's the clear message, I think, that you were communicating, that this is us going after outside funds, outside of our community to help a project here, which is great. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, Councilman Kent.
Thanks, Chair. Council, just a couple of brief things. Last week I had a great opportunity to meet Lynn Flanders at the Ocean Center and get my eyes on some of the $40 million that we spent and are spending for the 40th anniversary at the Ocean Center. And the new seats, the larger seats, the paint, the sound system, some of the audio visual that you have set up in place there. And, you know, Lynn said something to me that stuck with me, and that was, you know, 'cause we have some people in the community talking about, you know, you really need to beef up the tonnage that you can hold in the Ocean Center, and you might want to do a complete tear down, and I mean, just some radical ideas. And Ms. Flanders said to me, she said, Councilman Kent, we are looking for those acts because we can handle max 7,000 people in there. We are looking for acts on their way up, and we are catching them on their way down. And she said, as much as you want the Red Hot Chili Peppers to come there, Taylor Swift and Red Hot Chili Peppers, they're not coming to a place like that. And she's spot on. But there are so many of those acts that we do get to catch on the way up and on the way down of their career. And I thought it was just perfectly stated. If you've not had an opportunity to go tour the Ocean Center with Ms. Flanders, I highly recommend you do that. My second thing is I want to talk about, I had mentioned years ago about us being efficient and effective. It's on all of the information George sent us. We've made it kind of our mantra. I want to tell you how responsive this staff is. Yesterday, I had my district dialogue for residents at the Ormond Beach Library, and I think before George and Suzanne got to work, I texted them early in the morning and said, hey, caught wind that some people from the church in Ormond Beach are going to be at this meeting. Can you have one of our gentlemen, Ben or Tad, at the meeting to talk about the safety, the reasons behind this? And they wrote me back and said Tad will be there. Tad Casbier was there on a moment's notice. He was spitting out facts, and I want to tell you, gentlemen, what I told that group. I said, I really feel like if I went before the council and pounded my fist on the dais and said why we needed to make this change right now, I think that I could get them to do it. I said, but I'm not a traffic engineer. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to put my neck out there and then another crash happens and my picture's on the front page of the paper because I made a decision about traffic that I have no business making decisions about traffic flow. That's not my expertise. It's not your expertise. We have people for that job, and you know, sometimes you got to say the unpopular thing in front of a group of people, and I'm not afraid to do that. And Tad was right there spitting facts, and I appreciated you all having him there. George, last but not least, you know I have love for Ormond Beach, but I almost feel like someone from staff needs to just, in a fun way, beat him over the head and say, what's going on? I really want to know. I've been there. I've talked to them publicly. I want to know, why is the Andy Romano Beachfront Park that I named after Andy Romano, why is that not involved with Park Volusia? Because what you don't know is Ormond Beach residents taxed themselves for that park for 20 years. I think we've got 11 left. They get charged extra for that park. But anybody and everybody from out of town can park there for free. And the place is the crown jewel when it comes to beachfront parks. So it's jammed up and filled up every summer by 9 a.m. And I say this because Ormond Beach should make the money on it. It's their park. It's theirs. So can you cut staff loose on them to go to them and just, I want an answer.
I think they heard you. We've already been contacted just here recently, I guess, in the last few days. So somebody has got that, and yes, I'll cut them loose.
Thank
to
you.
do that.
Thank you, because I had no idea that you were going to share that, but it wasn't making sense to me. Why are Ormond Beach residents being shortchanged?
Right.
When they don't have to be. This is a win for them financially, and they should be participating.
We did originally invite.
I know you did.
All the cities, so we're happy to go back at that. So we will. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a great night.
This sounds like some Ormond on Ormond crime.
Tell you what, man, getting me fired up.
Vice Chair Reinhardt.
Thank you, Chair. Just two things, and it's really just to give thanks to staff on one thing, to Jim Corbett and the rest of the facilities department. Something that gentleman I asked for a couple years ago it was a concern about the lighting, basically in University Park over there next to Hard Rock, and the lighting could not happen, but now it has. So they found a light that would be okay with the turtles. And for that, I am very, very grateful. That makes it a lot safer. But there were actually 4 parks that were done: University, Sun and Surf, Riverview, and Glenview. All 4 parks now have that lighting to make it safer. So I think that's huge. The other thing is to Jessica Fentress and Ben Bartlett. I think it was a couple meetings ago, we asked, the young lady was here, who was the daughter of James Milton Hunt. And we put it in the hands of the state because the state actually, it's a weird scenario. I mean, we purchased it and then gave it to the state or something. I don't know. Anyways, but we had the Zoom meeting with the Historical Society last Friday, and that park is officially being renamed to the James Milton Hunt Lighthouse Point Park. And we will have a ribbon cutting for that event coming soon, I guess, to a theater near you. So as soon as that's announced, I will let you know. And then lastly, June 6th, Troy, you be pleased. I'm going to do a coffee with your councilman.
Nice.
And we're going to be doing it over in the Daytona Beach area. We're trying to find a location.
You got any Bustelo? I'll show up if you got some Bustelo.
No, it's cheap coffee, man. I'm paying for it, so come on. Yeah, I'll get you one. Okay. All right, and other than that, that's it. Have a great night.
Thank you. Councilman Robbins.
Thank you, Chairman. I think that Ormond, not David, that Ormond on Ormond crime, that was hysterical. Council, I'd like to just talk about that SB 484, the data centers. I reviewed it lightly, and it left room for us to kind of exercise some local control here and give us an opportunity to review it ourselves and see if we would like to take it any further. But also, too, I'd like to see how it aligns with our charter, that section 202. I think it's 202.2. So pretty much, Council, what I'm looking to get out of it, I'm not a fan of these things. I probably know enough to be dangerous, but I'd like to have staff come back to see what our limitations are in terms of whether or not we can limit local incentives right off the bat to not encourage these. If we have to have these and we can't kind of be discriminatory, mandate them to use, for instance, reclaimed water only instead of direct pumping from our drinking source, our aquifer. Also, too, gives us an opportunity to charge these companies and make some money off them if they buy or buy into our utility, if that is the case. But an important factor of this that I want everybody to think about is how do we take this this threat of AI, which is going to impact all of our workforce, our blue-collar jobs, how do we turn that into something positive, but how do we strengthen AI-resistant jobs like our
our farmers, our HVAC people, our plumbers? What programs can we come up with to kind of counter this, well, where we see technology going and strengthen our workforce? So, council, my ask is pretty much maybe give this to staff to research to see what our limitations are, maybe bring us back some suggestions, and it would give us time to individually look at any suggestions we may have that we want to put together if we want to add or exercise our local control. So
why don't we make that in the form, if you would, in the form of a motion for staff to bring back information on how the local county can put limitations on data centers. The part about protecting jobs, I'm not sure how we deal with that. You can put that in the motion if you want to word it somehow.
That may come after. Okay. But as I see this technology coming forward, we know the impacts it's going to potentially have. How do we create these, or how do we create or further create, or how do we strengthen some of these areas that we can make AI kind of resistant and give them some more benefits? So if that makes sense.
It does. Okay. So would somebody second that motion for staff to bring back information? Councilman Kent brings it back. Questions? Jake Johansson.
I don't
or
think
comments?
I don't think it's a question. I think it's a comment. I'm all for looking at what we need to do to understand what AI data centers bring, and if we don't have the infrastructure to support it, then how do we limit it here, or what control do we have to limit it? But I don't think, and I want to make sure that we're not thinking that an AI data center here is going to have an impact on our workforce. It's going to enhance our workforce when it's built, but the proximity of a data center to our workforce is not relevant. I think that's AI in general, and so I concur with you, Chairman. I think the first thing we need to do is look at what we can do to limit the buildings, the brick and mortar piece of it, if that's what we want to do. And then have the rest of the folks do what they're already doing. And how do we bolster our workforce to adapt to the changing world in general? And Cyrus and Lou and Career Source and Daytona State College and all those great things that Randy talked about, they're doing that for every attack on our workforce. AI is just another one to deal with. That's all I have, sir.
I agree.
Good points. Councilman Dempsey.
Yeah, I agree with you, Danny. My understanding is, though, that when these data centers come in for AI, that they don't really create many jobs. Now, I like to have staff's input, but they create jobs when they're constructing the buildings. But once they're up and going, they're basically self-automated, and so it's not really much of a job creator. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'm concerned about the water consumption because we already have one in Volusia County, but it's just, but there are different sizes, and the difference. I mean, I know the governor just signed that bill stopping the mega ones a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I'd like to have a full discussion if there's anything we can do to deter them, because we already rank 10th in the country, Florida, for data centers, and from what I've seen nationally, I mean, it's a huge issue. I mean, they can take up enough water for the size of DeLand. I mean, they can be very big hogs of fresh water, which I believe they kind of need to operate. I don't know if the reclaimed water is sufficient. I think they have to have better water quality than that. So I'd like to have a full look at it as well. So thank you for bringing it up. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Were you done? Are you done? Councilman Santiago.
I don't know where to go in this, because the information is really all over the place. And I don't know if there's enough to say is good, there's enough to say it's bad. What I would say that maybe we ought to look at what is possibly known as bad, and how do we create an ordinance to solve the bad, right? And if the bad means you can't use fresh water,
right,
then we say that. Instead of saying, I don't want one here, I think that's the wrong approach, because everybody, every day, almost everybody, I hate using those words, is using the infrastructure that runs through these AI systems, right? So it's a global need now. It's becoming part of life. So let's address the bad and not say don't come here. And I get it, the jobs, but there's, if we still have property tax at the time, there's a property tax base. Those things are valued at a very high penny. So let's solve the problems, find out to solve problems, and don't send the message don't come here. I think that's the wrong approach. Let's address our problems.
No, I agree, David. There's a couple things I threw out there just to marinate, to get the wheels spinning. Just my initial concerns until we hear more.
I agree. You started the dialogue, which is good. That's what we need to have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I think that's good. If we approve this, does staff have enough information? I think what Danny's asking for is gets to what you want to get to. Is it bring us back the information, what is required, what can we limit, what can't we limit, where are we preempted, where aren't we preempted? And then we can deal with it from there, but we need to start because it's here. So
we got good direction.
Okay. Any other comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Was that it for you? Okay, Councilman Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be brief. I wanted to echo your comments, Kent, on earlier when you recognized staff. I wanted to say it publicly because I have the same sentiment. Anytime I call anybody over there, I'm getting an answer probably within an hour or less. So hats off to George and your team. I mean, I'm never worried about not getting an answer. So thank you. And to our blue shirt friends, thanks again. You all were strong earlier today. There was a lot more of you. So keep it up. I hope you're enjoying the show. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sorry. Councilman Dempsey.
One thing I just recently learned about these data centers, just for staff, if you could add this to your report, but I've heard now that the modern technology is to recycle the water. You don't have to continually pump it out of the aquifer, but rather they can recycle it like an automobile engine through a radiator and to cool it. Yeah, so I just didn't know if they could bring us up-to-date technology, because I'm sure the technology's always changing. I know they serve a great purpose in our society, but it's a NIMBY. It's probably the mother of all NIMBYs. Nobody wants it in their backyard affecting their water. So, yeah, I'd be curious to see where we could go with that as well. Thanks. That's it. Thanks.
Yeah, and that vote didn't put a time limit on it. This could take some time to do the research.
Yeah,
so. Where's Claude? He's back working on it now?
Yeah, well,
okay.
Yeah, it would probably be in August, just realistically. Maybe July, but more likely August. You only have one meeting in July, that's why I hesitate. So about that, it'll be a full meeting, I'm sure. So this could move into maybe into August or September.
Okay. All right. I just have one thing. I'll try and be brief, but that will depend on all of you. It pertains to the Charter Review Committee and the item of creating a directory for conservation lands. I'm not at all comfortable with that, and I'm not comfortable with a vote of a majority plus one to sell a property. I do like the idea of a charter amendment because they're hard to change, and I would like to suggest, I'd like to ask that somebody would make a motion that that we ask staff to come back. We'd have to do this quickly, which is why I'm asking now instead of bringing it back next time. Have staff bring back a proposal for a charter amendment that does not include a directory, but simply requires a unanimous vote of this council to sell any property, because according to state law, that's all that we can do. We can't force it to a public referendum, and that's the direction of the opinion of our county attorney, who every one of us here respects. And I don't think we could get anything else passed if he said, that we're going to be challenged with that. I want something that's going to work long term. So I'm going to stop there because Matt, your name's already up.
Yeah, I just had a question. It's a good. I see where your mind's going. I guess for the attorney or for Mr. Dyer. Currently, in order to stay in compliance with statute, the current practice, let me back up. With the proposal that's the Charter Review Committee had given in place, it would take a supermajority to place the item on the registry and a supermajority to remove it. With this recommendation, because we're asking for a unanimous decision, would it also take unanimous in order to put a piece of property on?
No, I don't want a directory.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
So that's is that the deciding factor?
You can answer the question, but I didn't request a directory.
I got you.
Just requiring a unanimous vote to take something that the public believes is forever, to take it off and
would it
sell.
take unanimous to put it on?
Well, that obviously is going to depend on how the amendment is worded.
Right.
Part of the idea here would be, what I hear is that you're saying all county, like any county lands that would require a unanimous vote of the county council.
Volusia Forever purchases.
Okay,
or any conservation lands.
Okay, and then we might need a definition of conservation lands. I know it seems obvious, but sometimes, we could look at how some other jurisdictions have defined that and see if there's a satisfactory definition that the council would like.
I just want something that we can consider. So if that's Councilman Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the one that the Charter Review Commission submitted will automatically be on the ballot, correct?
That is correct. And if there is a competing amendment, there is a way to do that. It did actually happen, I think, during and Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, the 2006?
Yeah. That on the urban growth boundaries discussion, the Charter Review Commission and the council had each had proposals that competed. Basically, you would be drafting a proposal. You need 5 votes to put it on under the charter, and it would be a competing proposal. Now, you would need to write it in a way, which is what happened in 2006. If it passes this, yours would supersede the charter review. Why do I say that? Well, what if both amendments pass?
That's what I was going to ask. If we did this, what if both passed? But
you have to write it to say this would supersede any other conflicting provision.
Yeah, I think the 2006 amendment that the council put forward said, notwithstanding any other provision in the charter that may be to the contrary or to the alternative, it had an intro that made it clear that was what you were supposed to look at.
so did you put similar language, what you just said in the previous one?
There is no language that would supersede a proposal that you put on the ballot that passes. That would be something you would do.
No, so the language that you said, that it would have to be written in a way that if this amendment passes, then it would supersede any other charter amendment, right? Was that similar language utilized in 2006 when they were competing?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
And
yes.
They both failed in that scenario?
That's right.
Yeah. So, Chairman, I don't have a problem with the language, because I don't think this council has any intentions of selling lands. We've never talked about it. It's never happened. I don't think anybody's ever said to sell lands. So I don't have a problem with it, but I worry that not the limited, but what some considered a weak amendment would fail also, and then we're just still status quo. So we have to consider that risk. We're risking that possibility. So, but again, I don't have a problem with it. I didn't have a problem with the Alachua language, because I have no intentions of selling land, and I don't think this body ever had a chance considering selling land. So The question is, what could possibly pass? So, and I don't know the answer.
Well, if you want to do the Alachua amendment, I'd do it. I don't think it will pass this council with every attorney we've talked to telling us that it's going to get us in trouble. So
I was just trying to describe. I'm sorry, Mr. I was just trying to describe that the reason I don't have a problem with any of them, because I don't think this council has any intentions of selling land or has ever even talked about it. But I get it.
I understand.
Future
This is future councils, yeah. And so all I'm asking for is to bring it back so we can consider it and look at the language. Councilman Kent.
Yeah, Chairman, I think that your request is reasonable, and I'm going to make that motion for you so that hopefully we get a second and we can vote on it, and then staff can bring it back, and then we can vote up and down if we like what staff brought back or not. But I think what you've proposed is reasonable, and I'll make the motion.
Motion by Troy Kent. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by David Santiago. Thank you both. Any other questions for staff? Comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Reluctant. Any opposed? Okay. Mike, is that enough?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, and somebody write this down. This is a record. We will adjourn at 6:48. Santiago will want to bring some kind of a parting gift.